to start off with some of those gourds and pumpkins from last year that we didn't use. I've got a variety. And then I also have corn. It's a little plastic piece I think will look good. This is a little crate that I thrifted. You can use any type of a little wooden box for this to make it more of a rustic look. And I have a piece of cardboard that has been cut to fit right in the bottom since I have those open slats. I'm going to use some floral foam to hold our pieces in place. And then I have some bittersweet, and this is from Dollar Tree, and then I've thrifted this piece. I like the colors in here. This is a ladder I got at the thrift store, and to give you an idea of sizing, it's about maybe 20 inches here by 5.5 inches approximately. Just want to make sure that whatever little ladder that you have, and I know we all have them from the farmhouse days, that they will fit into the box that you choose. I'm going to use a little bit of this Tight Bond on the bottom with a little bit of hot glue. Tight Bond is going to give you a longer hold, and the hot glue is going to hold it in place until your other glue will dry. Push it in there, and now we have the bottom. You don't have to do this if you have a closed bottom. This is just for open bottoms because you never know what you might have around the house, but that you can still use. Just think of how you can use it. So I'm going to fill this in with my floral foam. I'm going to get an idea of how to Jenga this in there. And I just use this metal ruler here to cut this down. Now, whatever you have to cut your foam is totally fine. Whatever device you have. I know there are hot knives and stuff like that. So just whatever you have. And then I'm just going to plug them all in here until I get a good solid fit. And I want them to be tight enough that they're going to hold on to my ladder once I put those in there. I would not necessarily recommend using recycled foam that you get in packaging because the structure of it is a lot more loose, and when you put your pieces in there and wheel it around to get a fit, it might actually give you too big of a gap, if that makes sense to you. All right, so now I'm going to put this toward the back, but I'm not all the way on the back because I want it to be in the foam so the foam can help hold it in place. I'm trying my best to press this down into there without wiggling too much back and forth, because when you do that, it leaves openings on either side of the wood. We don't want that to happen. Now, to keep this from coming out, you can put your glue gun on cool temperature, add some glue in here so that nothing falls out. You can also use your Tight Bond or adhesive, whatever type that you have that you're using. And then I'm going to go around the legs of the ladder also to make sure that it is not loose and it won't go anywhere, because when it dries, it's going to be there. And then to make sure I get in any little gaps around there, I'm just using a little craft stick. You can use a Q-tip, you can use a little spatula, you can use your fingers, paintbrush, whatever you want to use. We want to have lots of options, right? Because we don't want to have any reason to not be able to craft when the mood hits us. All right, so we're going to cover the foam with something. I don't want to leave this ugly foam on top, so I'm going to put some glue on top. I'm going to grab my little rubber spatula and just go around here and smear this all around. Yes, I like making a mess. I absolutely do. I very rarely use gloves. I don't mind it. I'm not scared of a mess. I'm a country girl. I grew up in the mud and playing with frogs and turtles and lizards, and glue definitely is the least of my worries. Now I'm just going to take some loose moss. You can also get moss at Dollar Tree if you would like. But I've got some Spanish moss over there on the side to show you. I chose this moss because of the color, because it is more of that rusty color, and if you want that fall vibe, then these types of colors would be a little more fall to me than the gray from the Spanish moss, which might be something I would use more likely in the summertime or in the winter. If you are enjoying what you're seeing so far on this channel and the chit chat and what you are learning, then I would appreciate it if you would subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Fall is the sweet spot for me. Now, once we have got the bottom of that covered, all of that foam is covered, we're going to remove these stems because they're all different, because it's kind of a a mix of different thrifted pieces that I've gotten and things I've collected over the years, and they have cheapy looking tops on them. So I'm going to pull all these off. Some of them have a little stake that holds them in there. Some don't. I'm going to use a little glue to stick it down. If you don't have something to push it down into the foam. The reason I'm doing this is because it makes it easier to be able to paint when it is sitting still in a surface like this. So that's why it's glued and then pushed down in there. I've just chosen a brown. You can use whatever color you want. You can use green, brown, dark brown. Heck, you can use black, whatever you want to use. Whatever your little imagination finds gleeful at the moment. I'm going to go all over this, and then each one of these is going to get a very easy coat and an even coat all the way around. I think you could use probably the little stick pieces that you buy in a bag from Dollar Tree if you would prefer that, instead of having these little tops. And if you find thrifted pieces that don't have the little stem on the top, you can just make something with a stick, or something like that. You can even use air dried clay to make things like that. There's always options when you want to craft. You just got to think outside of the box, right? And you can do it in an affordable way. You don't have to go out and to big box stores and spend a whole lot of money. You could come to my channel and I'll show you how to do it cheaper, right? And you get to make it your own, so nobody else will have one exactly like yours. So I've got squash and pumpkins and corn here. We need to find some way to put those down into that foam. So they need to be stems as well, or picks as well as the wiring that is on the florals we're going to use. So I'm just going to use pieces of some stems that I had left over from other projects, because yes, I saved those. Not a ridiculous amount, but enough to use when projects like this come up. And I'll just use a little bit of glue and then press it into the bottom. Again, you don't want to wiggle too much. If you wiggle around too much, you're not going to have a tight fit. You'll just have a hole in the bottom and it will keep falling off. Glue is going to help hold that in place. And you can use a variety of heights too. It just depends. You can use shorter stems, higher stems, depending on the size of your piece. This one does not have the same type of bottom as the other ones do, but I found a little piece that's going to work. I'm going to glue it in and let that dry. So it's actually plastic. It's not foam in the middle like those other pieces. Now that ought to secure it once it's nice and dry, nice and cool. I'm going to go over the top of this piece because it just sort of broke off, and I'm using a micro sander to get that off. Use your money in the way that you feel is fit for you and your family and your financial situation. Now it's flat and I can put the stem on. Hold it in place for just a moment until that glue catches. Now I'm just going to wipe the rest of that off. Be careful, don't burn your fingers, protect your fingers. These are ready. I'm just going to clean it up just a tad and add a little bit of cool temp glue here. You can just use your Loctite or your Quick and Thick or whatever type adhesive you were using before, if you don't want to use the hot glue or the cool temperature glue. I know some people have the ones that just have one temperature, but if you have cool temperature, it's a little bit better when you're doing foam. All right, so I don't even know which stem originally went in which piece, but I'm just putting them back in here. It doesn't really matter. And if you have a little area where you don't have paint coverage, instead of leaving it white, just go ahead and grab a little bit of paint and clean that up on the gourd itself. It just looks better. It gives you a higher end look. Looks a little more realistic than seeing that white foam in there. It's my opinion. Now I'm going to sit those up, the picks down in the same little piece of foam, and I'm going to age the stems using a little bit of antiquing wax on a brush. And I'm just going to brush that over. And now each of those stems is going to have pretty much the same look. Almost maybe as if they were picked on the same day or at the same place. It gives a sense of intention, I guess. You have sort of a story to go along with it, a visual story that goes along with the pieces that you make. I think for me that's important in my crafting, where I look at it and I can just see the story with it. I like to write. I used to write all the time when I was younger. And I kind of see a little bit beyond just, oh, look, there's some pumpkins. Oh, look, there's a pumpkin arrangement. I think, oh, look, it's aged. It's been around a while. It's rustic. It's rich. It looks like somebody has taken it out of their garden or bought it from a roadside stand. Now, if you wanted to, you could also take your antiquing wax and go over the gourds, the squash, however you like them. We're going to let those dry and we're going to decide which picks to use. And I decided rather than using the bittersweet to go ahead and use these cream colored flowers. And I'm going to put the entire stem down there by the leg of the ladder. Now make sure your piece is dry so that your ladder's not flopping around in there. You're going to need to be able to touch that ladder and to wrap whatever florals you have around it. If you have a viney type floral, which is what I had in mind when I did this project. I wanted something that would kind of wrap around that ladder a little bit. So I've pushed it down into the foam and I'm going to lean it back. It's just propped up on a storage box that I have so that you can see what I'm doing here. I've got these pieces of wire that I've used before. They match the ladder. They're not bright green. They don't stand out. So I thought, well, this would sort of be more of a camouflage type option to put your pieces up against the ladder. Sometimes when you use hot glue, the greenery will still pop off, or you can melt your stem or whatever. If you want to repurpose it, if you use wire like this or like a brown wire, then, or you can use jute. I think I show you how to do that in this video as well. Then you can take those apart and you can use the pieces for other projects. So if you wanted to change this box and ladder out and take out your pumpkins and take out your greenery, you could always use this again at Christmas time, right? Yeah. So if you have a green covered wire and you want to change the color to make it kind of be more camouflage, just put some antiquing wax on it and let it dry. You see the difference? And it's because the wood is brown and the stem is brown on the florals that I'm using that I also want whatever I wrap around there to be brown. Okay. Now I have a tiny little tendril up here that I'm just going to use glue on to hold that in place. I'll hold it for just a minute until it grabs on. And here's the jute. You could also use the jute to go around here to tie your pieces down if you would like. I want some to be definitely like it's climbing the ladder and some to be sort of willy-nilly. I want them to be sort of growing wildly through here, you know, unkept, kind of country, roadside. I think fall, more than any other time, is when I'm really hit with a rustic bug. I want everything to look like it's got some age and some wonder and playfulness, like growing vines, and you know, it's just really, I don't know. It's just my favorite time of year, y'all. Y'all know. I think you know if you follow me for very long. And if not, you're going to learn that about me pretty soon. You're going to learn. Definitely fall's my favorite time of year. And yes, it is early, but we got to get things together for crafters who are selling items. They got to get their things together. They have to have time to get supplies, ideas, a working plan, get their pieces together for craft shows so that they can sell them. And I'm hoping that this is something that's going to inspire you to maybe do something like this in your booth, for your home, or as a gift. So now I'm showing you how you can use a piece of the jute cord to go around to hold your floral in there. I'm just going to tie that down and give it a knot or two to hold it in place, and then you can just easily trim off your pieces, or you can just leave it there, because in reality, if you get a tomato plant and you're tying it to a vine, you got a piece of something there sticking out, don't you, that everybody can see. All right next to that knot where nothing slips out. And if you lose your pieces like this, things pop off, just go back to the stem and put your pieces back on. Very easy to do. So you kind of see where I'm going with this. Oh, it's so cute. I love this. And believe it or not, it is not, the ladder is such a light wood, light as far as weight, that there is no heaviness in the back. It doesn't tilt or try to fall over at all. You might want to watch for that too in your pieces. If you got a heavier ladder, you're going to want a heavier box or crate to put it in. Now I'm putting in my gourds and my pumpkins, and I want these to be at different heights and poking out at different angles. I don't want everything to be straight up and down, all the same height, straight across the top. This is not like a garden where everything's in a row. I want it to have a little more free will, right? So I'm just going to push them in and try to get them where I think I might like them. And that arrangement looks pretty good. And then we can grab up some greenery. So I always encourage you when you're doing crafts to take the greenery that you have and recycle it. Or if you use flowers and you don't use the greenery off of it or the leaves off of it, that you save those and you can use them in other projects. So that's the situation with this. I've got some pieces here. They look like oak leaves maybe laying there, and some fern pieces. They don't have a pick. They're just the little pieces. I probably pulled it off of another wreath or another project at some point and saved them because I love this color. It's like a sort of an olive or army green color, I guess you could say. I'm adding picks from other floral arrangements that I have already used. I'm just going to place those on there. If the hole's a little bit too big, add a little glue and then put it on, and then you can use it as a pick. And I'm going to put those here and there in places where they look like they could use a little something. So here's the fern. I'm going to add some to the back, keeping in mind that the highest part of this project is going to be toward the back, because the ladder is the tallest part actually, unless those flowers go over that. And I'm going to make it appear a little bit wider, taking up a little more room by extending the greenery over the edges. You also want to be sure that you take into consideration the spaces between, so you can add pieces there as well. If you want anything to stick to the ladder, a little touch will help. And look, if you've got a curly piece of any greenery that needs a little bit of help, you can use your blow dryer on high temperature, or you can use a heat gun like I have here and apply some heat and kind of hold it and give it a moment, and you'll iron it right out. Do not forget to share this video with someone who loves fall as much as you do. I'll thank you forever for it. You know I will. You need to be sure that you let this cool in the position that you like for it to lay in before you use it. So once you get it where the plastic is soft and it will lay flat, let it cool, and then you'll be able to use this. So when you have your pieces and they're all bunched up in a bucket together and they're all wrinkled and looking kind of silly, you can fix that. Definitely, it's fixable. I mean, because we're crafters, right? That's what we do. Look at the color combination. Oh, y'all, this is, I'm telling you, this is why we love fall. And how the cream colored flowers are to the left, and then we have the cream colored squash over there. It's to the right. I love that. I decided to make this look like one longer piece, like a vine. And so I'm adding it to the inside of the ladder, and then I'll add a tiny touch of hot glue here and there just to hold the leaves in place, almost to look like it's climbing up the ladder. And it just takes a second for that to hold. And then again with these pieces, if you don't have the picks, then you can just use a little bit of glue and just kind of glue it to the surface of your pieces. You see how that's a little bit too big? A little bit of cool temp glue there, and it will hold that in. Let it cool, and then you can use it. And you can see how I've got what I meant by having the leaves and greenery in between as well, so you don't have any blank spaces. Perfect. Now you're not going to see a lot of the moss that's underneath, but you can see it. And I tell you all the time, look at your craft from all angles. Make sure at all angles you can see what is going on inside of there. This is what it looks like.
So you're going to start off with some of these. You can use a round bead or something round with a hole in it. And I'm going to use some window clings, a little piece of this paper, and then 2 of these Crafter's Square signs from Dollar Tree. So I'm going to be using the back. I love the wood grain on both of these. I chose these 2 signs because of the grain. And I'm going to start off by taking some of my antiquing wax. I'm going to water it down, just put it in a little cup. I'm going to add some water. You just see me squirting I have a little spray bottle here. And I'm going to use a chippy brush and just go back and forth all over this sign. Now, if you like a complete full coverage, you can do that. If you like it more streaky, you can do that. If you don't have any antiquing wax, you can use a brown paint that you water down to make your own stain, whichever way that you choose to do this. And if you just have stain that you want to use, you could certainly just use a can of stain, but be sure that it is in a well-ventilated area when you put it down. So now I'm just going to make sure that this is completely dry. I'm going to set it aside and we're going to work on the next tag. So this is just some, this came out of one of those crafting paper tablets, and I just flipped through and I found this beautiful cream and orange. I thought this would be really pretty for fall. I've just traced it and cut it out to fit on the tag, and because it's going to be a little bit short, I've taken a scrap of here and I'm going to try to match the patterns up like that. And it looks pretty good. There's a little space, but you won't be able to see when the project is finished. So keeping it lined up, I'm going to flip it over, trace out the little hole where the tag hanger is going to be, and then I can move the wood tag off and just cut out around the little spot that I traced. If you don't want to do this part, you could skip it and just punch a hole in it later with a stick or something if you wanted to. And I'm going to do the same thing with the top, just kind of holding it in place, flip it over, and then I'm going to trim that little piece out as well. So I'm choosing to use a matte Mod Podge here, but you can use school glue, you can use double stick paper, you can use a glue stick if you wanted to. Now would be the time to get those glue sticks at Dollar Tree, because Jot usually has extras in their school supply section. So just be sure, instead of looking in the crafter section, you look over there in the specials for the school supplies, and you can get a bigger pack and save a little money. Okay, so once I've got full coverage on here, I'm not going too crazy with the amount of Mod Podge that I put on it. I'm going to just press it down with my hands first, kind of centering it where it belongs. Press it down with my hands, and then I'm going to take my roller, and this is a Mod Podge roller, and just roll it out to make sure everything is nice and flat, and that every piece of that paper sticks to the backing. Next, I'm going to cover these. Now, these are actually little cedar dowels that you put on the top of your hangers in your closet to keep the bugs out of your closet, right? Keep moths out. I found these at the thrift store, and I thought, you know, these would be perfect size for the top of these tags. So that's what I'm going to do here. I picked out 2 of them, but I'm only going to need 1. All right, while that's drying, I'm going to take my sanding block, or you can use an emery board, fingernail file, a regular piece of sandpaper, whatever you choose, and I'm just going to shear off the edges by going down and away, and it will slowly start to peel off, and then you can just remove it just like that. You get a nice clean finish, and it looks store-bought. You don't have any raggedy edges on there. Plus, this is going to look really nice when we do the next step. So you're going to go all the way around your board, around the corners, around the edges, just like this. Looks good. If you like that finish, you can leave it that way. If you want to make it a little more rustic, go ahead and grab that mix that you already had made there with another baby wipe and just hit those edges. Just go right over those white edges of the paper, and this is going to give it kind of an aged look. Let it overlap a little bit onto your paper, and it just will kind of blend in with the edges and give it a nice, beautiful rustic look. You can feather it out a little bit. You can drag your finger across the, any areas you want on that tag to add a little more richness. Whichever way you want to do it is going to be great here. I love to give y'all little tips just to bring your projects up from Dollar Tree to, oh my goodness, no way you got that from Dollar Tree. All right, now we're going to go over to the window clings here. I think these came from Dollar Tree, but if they didn't, they came from Dollar General. That may be a Dollar General tag you see there. So these were from last year. They were donated to me. We're going to leave the backing on and cut it out so that you can't see through it. This is going to be more like a sticker or an applique now. Go ahead and grab up any type of little applique or wording that you like to add to your second sign. I'm going to use this one. I decided to go ahead and put some Mod Podge on this and use a little bit more of the checked paper that I used on the big sign. So that's just going to kind of carry it over to the other sign and make it look a little more cohesive, I think. Fits perfectly on my scrap. I'm going to press it down and I'm going to just iron it out. Roll it right on out. Cut as close as you can with your scissors, and then you can go back over this with a fingernail file or with a, your sanding sponge here, whatever you want to use. And you can use the same technique here that we used on the big tag sign to go around the edges, take that white down, and just make this look a little more rustic. Now I thought I was going to leave it this way, so I went ahead and added a little dimension with this, and I'll show you how to do that. You're just going to take your finger and you're just going to push down and drag little lines, little curved lines, just like a pumpkin has curved lines. You can leave it like that if you want, but I thought, you know what? This came off of that same cling backing that this big pumpkin, the stacked pumpkin, came from, and it fits perfectly on those little appliques. So if you find this one, you can definitely do it just like this. If not, just leave it plaid. That's pretty too. I'm going to use some hot glue and fix this down, and the only section I will address in a minute. I'll show you how to get the little stem down because it's too thin to use the hot glue. I'm going to go ahead, once this is thoroughly dry, glue it down. Going to position it where I think I want to have it, and then I'm going to just go ahead and make this look a little more old and rustic too, just so that everything blends in nicely together. I'm going to add some hot glue on it and then center it over the top of those holes. And look at that. Doesn't that look perfect? I love it. I love the colors and everything in this project. It's so pretty with that pop of blue in there. I'm usually so traditional, but I really love that navy blue in there. You might be seeing more projects with this for me. So I'm just going to use a little bit of glue here. This is just regular glue. And I'm going to stick my stem down. Hold it for just a minute to let it catch. And then once it's dry, I'm going to loop the little tag hanger right back through. We still have an extra one that we didn't have to use. We're going to use a little wood house and a card. So just grab any card you see over in Dollar Tree in their card aisle. And then these furniture markers also came from Dollar Tree in a 3-pack. So I saw this card at Goodwill and I loved the color and the print. It's so cute with all the little birds and the fall leaves. And it fits perfectly onto this card. There'll be a little excess that's going to be removed, but that's okay. I'm just going to sit it on top, kind of get my edges where they need to be, and then I'm going to center it where I like it, and off to the side is perfect, so that made it really easy for me. Then you can just use your fingers to press down a bit on the angles and then cut it out with scissors, or you can flip it over on your cutting mat. I'm just going to give you some options and trim it out with your blade and your cutting mat. Be super careful when you use a blade that you are not cutting toward your fingers because these things are sharp. I did get this from Dollar Tree. I think it was in a 3-pack, y'all, over in the automotive or tool section. But they see how the blade fits right under the little chimney there? All I had was one little piece that was still stuck, and it just folded and popped straight off. All right, now, see how nice that is? It's almost centered right in the middle of that house. I love it. So here are the 3 markers, and I'm going to show you what each color looks like because they're all brown, obviously, but they all have a little bit different of an undertone. So I'll just show you here. You can freeze it and zoom in, decide which color you like best. I've chosen cherry, and then I'm just going to start coloring it in. You can use your antiquing wax here if you want to, but for those of you who don't have the antiquing wax or a Walmart nearby, but you do have a Dollar Tree, you can stain things with these Dollar Tree furniture repair markers. That's what they're actually labeled as, I do believe. And I've used these on lots of projects. I even have fall projects that I use these markers on from last year and probably the year before. Yes, you can use these markers to do your staining. The front is clean because we don't need to waste our furniture marker on this, do we? We're not going to be looking at this part. We're just going to add some Mod Podge or school glue or whatever type of glue you want to use. I will say that once you put it down though, you need to let it dry before you start sanding off your edges or you will have your project shifting around. So be sure that it is dry. Just walk away, work on another project until it is set in place. I'm just putting a thin layer here of the Mod Podge all over the front, and I'm going to place the card down right on top. Then you can press it down with your hands, roll it out if you would like, but you see how it shifts around? You got to be super careful. Once it's dry, go ahead and get whatever you want to sand with. I love my sanding block. And start shearing off the edges. So I went back over my lighter edges with the marker. And then I'm going to use the same technique we used on the tags to go over the house to give it a more of a rustic look. More aged, more homey, whatever you want to call it. Distressed, can be called many different things. I'm just going to go over all of the little white edges. I'm going to pull it a little more toward the front. You can see here how it kind of fades inward. I love that look. Love it. And then you can also just take your finger, and if your background is like a stark white and you don't care for that, just go ahead and take your finger and drag it all the way across lightly like this. So you're going to take one of these light bulb terrariums from Dollar Tree, some pumpkin chalk paint. I'm going to use some of this, I believe this is petal blossom something, spray paint. This is a little thrifted mushroom, but you can get little mushrooms at Dollar Tree. Some oak leaves from Dollar Tree. I'm not going to use the ribbon back there. And I'm going to use this rub-on transfer sheet from the Dollar Tree. I'm also going to use a string of lights, but you'll see that later. Okay, so we're going to start by taking the lid off. Little tip for you, when you are spray painting, use a bucket of rocks, a little dowel of whatever length you like, and then stick that on there. Now when you take it outside, you can get to all sides without touching it. All right, one good coat of paint. This is just going to make that chalk paint stick better to that plastic surface. So once it is completely dry, I'm going to start taking that chalk paint and I'm going to start putting it down on this pumpkin, or well, it's not a pumpkin, it's going to be a gourd, but it's actually a light bulb at this point. I'm going to go side to side with my paint all the way around and up to the top, just past the little area that screws on, so we don't have any gaps where there's no coverage. I used 2 coats of paint. Tried to use my little heat gun. I should have known better, and I got a little dimple. You can see it underneath there. All right, I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to go all over here. Don't worry about the little dimple. Do not use heat on the plastic or it's going to curl under. I knew that before I did it, but I thought if I kept my distance and kept it on low, it would be okay. Don't do that. Use a fan or just be patient. Now I'm going to take this in the same method. I'm just going back and forth with the brush strokes, and then once it is dry, this is how it's going to look. And to me, that looks more like a gourd. It has a little bit of a satin finish, and I'm totally okay with that. See there? Don't worry about that. We're going to fix it. You know, I always fix my boo-boos because I want to show you how to fix it in case you have a boo-boo. So this is cork lights, but you can get whatever lights you have at Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to add these little ribbons to it. These are going to be like a leaf bottom, I guess you could say, or a mossy look. A mossy bottom, maybe. I'm going to just cut these in sections. I'm not going to cut them completely square. And I'm going to stack them 2 pieces of each color. Just like that, and I'm going to make a little circle out of a cardboard scrap because this is going to be how we glue those pieces of ribbon down. You will burn the fire out of yourself if you try to do this without using a base, and I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to keep on happily crafting with no boo-boos. So you're just going to stack these on, protect your fingers, and I'm just using my silicone tip finger to press it all down into the glue. Then you can just go around and trim it up if you want to. Kind of make it into a circle because it's going to sit into the bottom and then the sides are going to kind of fold up the bottom. It's hard to show you this because it's inside, but I think you'll get the idea. Kind of fold it and then let it just pop back out in there. You see how it goes up the sides just a little? That's the look I was going for. So now you can just go ahead and add a little bit of hot glue. You want to use this on your cool setting, and then go ahead and put in your base. Now that's all in the bottom, so we have something to work with. Easy enough, right? Easy enough. We're going to let that dry, and then we need to address the dent in the opening here. Doesn't this look like a gourd to you? I think it looks just like a gourd. I'm going to take some of this trim. Now you can get these trims at Dollar Tree. They have like 3 on in one package. And you can get them where the florals and things are. In my store anyway, they put them all over the place, maybe on an end cap. I'm just going to seal the bottom by adding a little bit of glue. I'm just showing you that it's on low temp. I don't want to melt this any further than it already has been. And I'm just going to start using my braided piece. And you're just going to follow your curve around the opening here. Easy enough. I'm trying to get it as close as I can, not necessarily overlapping it, although that might have been a better idea. So you do what you feel like you need to do here. And then with my thumb on the inside and my fingers on the outside, I'm just kind of squeezing that down. We're going to call it our gourd. Is at this point, it's a gourd. Keep going around here, adding the glue and squeezing it into place. And then when you get back to the original spot, whether you have a dent or not, go ahead and trim that off so that it meets. I'm using my bullnose pliers. I've had people asking me what tool that is. I was told these are bullnose pliers. I think I linked some in my Amazon store, so check my Amazon link and you might be able to find some there. Okay, so this is about 7.5 inches, just a scrap that I had left on the paper, and I'm just going to go with the fold here. It already looked like it had a dent there, so we're going to make a bow just like that. Simple, simple. No tying because this is regular. I mean, you're going to be tying with the jute here, but no tying the ribbon upon itself. That's, I think, what I'm trying to get at, because it's really thick, and it would be hard to get a knot in a bow this size. So we're just going to use our jute to do that, and it's practically the same color, so it blends in nicely. I'm going to put a couple of knots in here so that it doesn't slip loose, and then we can just trim it off. You can flip these up or you can flip them down, and you can turn this over whichever way you want to do it. You can seal your edges. So I'm going to take my sheet here, my transfer sheet, and I'm going to choose which one of these beautiful embellishments I like. And I'm going to start off with these. I don't know what kind of leaves these are here. These grapevine leaves, I'm not entirely sure. And they have little berries, so I'm just going to cut them off while they're still on the backing, because they will stick to your fingers. So and then you're going to mess your print up. So be sure that you don't touch on there unnecessarily on the colored parts. Keep your fingers on the clear part. I'm going to hold it in place with my finger, and because this is a round weird shape here, I'm just going to cut some notches up to the colored parts of this transfer. Just going to cut notches, that way it can lay down smoothly while I press it into place. Now I'm going to show you a couple of options. This is my Mod Podge squeegee, I guess you could call it. You can use something like this to press it down. You can use a popsicle stick to press it down, and in a little while I'll be using something kind of unpredictable. But you never know what you have on hand, right? So I want to help you out so there's no excuse for not crafting. So once I get all those edges pressed down, I can carefully move my finger and the film, and there you go. And in the lighter colored leaf, there's a little crack, but that's okay. Not worried about that. All right, so now I'm excited. I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm going to go on to my next one. And I like this one with the little pumpkins in it. And I'm going to put it on the side. So before you decide, go ahead and cut some little slits in it, and don't place it down until you are sure where you're going to put it, because sometimes it will still stick on its own. These are really nice rub-ons, in my opinion. So this is a clothespin, the type with a little round top and the little, there it's completely wood. But look, you can use it, and it works great because it's got a small surface area on the end, and it really works nice to press these down. And then when you get ready to press, if you got to press hard, put your thumb on the inside and support that under surface. Then you can flip that clothespin around, whatever you want to call it, and you can use the round part also. So see there? No excuses. Y'all got a craft? No excuses. So pretty. I love this particular sheet of rub-ons. All of the rub-ons from last year, 3 of them, they're all gorgeous. They're really, really pretty. So you can just use whichever ones you like. So again, pressing it down. If you need to trim it or cut little pieces out of it so that it lays flat for you, go ahead and do that. And you can put your embellishments wherever you want on your gourd. I just like it kind of around the opening here. I think it's really pretty. Brings attention and, everything to the front. And I like that. So now they are all stuck down there. Very pretty. We're going to work on some florals, a little floral piece here. I like the green on the flowers, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut some of those green leaves on and add them, because there's some green in the other pieces of what we got going on in this gourd, and I want to go ahead and let that stay there. So we have green all year round. All year round. We do have some fall colors too, but you know, if we're going to be realistic, there are places in the world that still have green in the fall. So, do whatever feels right to you. I'm going to start making a little swag here. I'm just going to alternate, really no particular color idea here. I want it to match what's going on already with what we've already used, but no real pattern. I'm just kind of going back and forth, the bigger leaves on the bottom, the smaller ones on the top, so that you can see a representation of each color. And then on the back, I'm just going to add one more green leaf like toward the bottom. Once that glue is dried, you can take something to poke a hole right through it. You could use a hole punch, you can use whatever you have, but I'm just using one of these little wood carving tools from Dollar Tree. And then just make a hole, and then I'm going to feed my flower right through it. Now I bent the stem just like this so that it doesn't stand straight out, so that it points forward. And isn't that cute? I like that. So it fits right in the hole on the top. And you can still see the gold. If you want to look at the gold, that's great. If you don't worry about it. It's going to be covered on the back anyway. So now we're going to put our little bow right here in the front, on the side where I made my boo-boo. Nice. All right, the best part. We're going to be working on the inside now. There's so much going on in this project, but you know, take what you want, leave what you don't. I'm going to unwind it, and then I just wrapped it around my hand several times so that I had a bigger area here, but you can have yours pulled completely apart if you want. You're going to take some type of mounting tape. This did come from the Dollar Tree. If you have one of these little cork ones like I have, they're perfect because they fit right in the neck above, you know, the neck of the gourd. We're going to call it our gourd. They fit right up in here, and you can hide them, and you can still turn your lights on and off. Perfect. You can order from Amazon, but you may be able to find something similar enough at Dollar Tree. I don't know. You'll have to check and see. You could always use a flameless tea light in here if you wanted. I'm going to add some of the same colored leaves that we used on the top up there, and the bottom off to the side a bit. And this is going to be where we're going to nest down our mushroom. I hope you can get an idea. I hope I'm explaining it well enough, because I know it's hard to see the darkness inside of that pumpkin. So then you want to place your mushroom toward the center back of the pumpkin. I actually set mine down a little bit too close to the front, but that's okay. You know, I can still see it nicely, and it looks like a little starry night in there. Isn't it cute? So now we're going to seal in and make that, all of those little appliques that we put on, or these little pieces here that we put on, we want to make them blend in and look a little bit richer. And the Mod Podge that we use for the rest of this project is going to be perfect to do that. It does bring out the richness of these little rub-on transfers, and it's going to help seal them in place so they almost look like they were hand painted. And I like that idea. And we're going to do that to each one. It's going to blend in and dry and look so nice. And then if you want to cover up the back and you don't want that showing, you just add a leaf right there. Now it's all covered up. We're going to start with some Dollar Tree leather tags. I have some thrifted flowers, so I have this beautiful cream colored hydrangea and some more of these other pretty rust colored flowers. And then I have this pick that I thrifted, but you can definitely use a couple of picks from Dollar Tree. And then this is a thrifted broom that I got from Goodwill. Alright, so this is 36 inches. We are going to cut this pick down into smaller pieces. So this will kind of give you an idea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You get about 8 little pieces out of here. You would probably need 2 or 3 of the Dollar Tree picks to do this. And you can use whatever you like. If you want to use leaves, you can use leaves. You can use grasses or whatever you like. I'm going to cut apart the flower picks. You want to leave a little bit of branch on there or stem on there because we're going to be using it to attach it to the wreath. We're going to start with this grass piece right into the center top of the wreath. Then I'm going to put one on each side. The broom itself is kind of thin and small, and that's okay. We're going to beef it up with all this beautiful colored grass. You can even go on the inside and push it up into there. Now, because the broom is so tightly packed underneath where you can see the little braid in the top right corner, these pieces will stick in here just fine if you're going to use this in the house. So you don't have to glue it down unless you're making it to sell it. And just continue along till you get that as thick and full as you like. And I love this, and I love that it extends beyond the wooded part of the broom, or the little stems of the broom. I love it. And now we're going to move to the upper part of the same little sweeping part of the broom. I'm going to go right above the braid, or you see the line where the thread is. I'm going to go right above it with one of those picks and kind of push it to the side. Now it's on wire, so it makes it easy for you to give a little bend to your pieces. Same thing with the Dollar Tree picks. They're on wire, so you can bend them. And if anything pops off, generally you can just pop it right back on there. So no worries about that. Now I'm going to put this other one on the left a little bit lower down than the one on the right, just to give a little bit of interest. I'm going to take the stem of this hydrangea and make a hook. Then I'm going to lay it down on the broom and push it upward. So you can see here how we did that. I have pushed it upward. Now I'm going to take the leaves and push them up on these flowers so that they can be seen. I'm just adjusting my petals a little bit. If you get a piece from the thrift store and it's kind of wild looking, you can always use a little hot glue to arrange your petals and to make it look tighter instead of, opened up so much. Whatever you like. But I love these just the way they are. And I'm just going to put it on the bottom side and press it upward, just like I did the other one. We're going to do that with all of the flowers. You're going to give it a little crook behind the back part, and then just arrange your leaves once you get them pushed up. This is not symmetrical, and there's no certain pattern to this. I love these colors. I knew I had to use the broom when I saw these beautiful colored flowers. They're so nice. And then the little bud, I'll put it right to the side. You don't want anything falling out. So now I'm going to add just a little tag here, and I got out of camera range. I apologize. Y'all know my process. But I'm just adding hot glue, and I'm just going to put it down on the base of the broom and then push the little string part, the leather string part, just up on the inside where you can't see it. You can cut it off if you want, or use it for another project. And this is how this little beauty looks. Love this. This will not be taken apart. This is going to be put right in my house. Perfect piece of fall decor, I think. Taking this familiar Dollar Tree wreath form. This is a pumpkin. I have done many projects with this. I'm going to take a infinity scarf, which I got from the thrift store. I'm going to use the other tag and a variety of ribbons. We're going to add some blue today, guys. Look at these white sunflowers. Gorgeous. Choose some greenery that you like. Anything that's going to coordinate with your ribbons is kind of what I go by. Some orange hydrangea, look at these, I love these picks. Witch hazel bush, this is the first time I've ever seen them. And then other little pieces like sedums or whatever. We're going to take some heirloom white, and I'm going to spray paint this frame. While it's drying, I'm going to thread my needle with a little bit of this cotton thread and an upholstery needle. Just like you would a regular needle. Okay, once the frame is dry, you don't have to paint the back. We're going to start laying this on the top. Now, the reason we paint it is because I don't want black showing through my white scarf. If anything shows, I want it to be the same color so it kind of blends in together. Now, I am going to just start by laying this down. I'm not going to cut anything on this project, so if you feel comfortable cutting this and thinking that it won't unravel, then that is totally fine. You can do whatever you would like. You know, you can also use an old sweater to do this if you find something at thrift store or something that you're not using anymore. Maybe you got a coffee stain somewhere on the sweater. You could cut it up and use the chest piece to go over your wreath. So I'm just going to start tacking it down. I don't want to pull anything tight because I don't want the ribs underneath to be very pronounced. So the ribs, what I mean is the wired pieces underneath the pumpkin. I don't want that to be pronounced. I want it to be nice and smooth. So I'm just going to pull around and use my little clamps. This is the easiest way for me to do it. It holds everything in place. It kind of gives you an extra hand, and that is very important when you have small hands. Or maybe you have arthritis in your hands. This makes it easier too. We take our help where we can get it. And these are just little clamps that I got from Dollar Tree. I'm going to continue all the way around. I like to go on my flatter surfaces first and then work on the curves. And this is how it is going to look. And now all my little lines are together. I'm going to take my threaded needle and just go through underneath where the stem is. And I am going to tie that in a triple knot. You can do a double knot, you can do a triple knot. The reason I'm tying it to the frame is because if you tried to put the loop through that very loose weave of the fabric of the pumpkin, it would just come right out. So if you tie it to the frame, it's going to stay exactly where it needs to be. You can trim off what's left to keep it nice and neat. And then I'm just going to go to the inside. You can see what I'm doing here. It's easier to just watch and just go over, move your thread out of the way. If you try to keep your head, if you're right-handed and you're using the needle in the right hand, try to keep that thread under and around your left hand, and that'll keep it from getting tangled up around the other clips and things that are on your pumpkin. It took me a few little tries to get this right, but once I started doing it, I had my process down, and it went pretty quickly. You see what I'm doing here? I'm just trying to keep it under my hand. And I'm just going to go back and forth. I'm doing about maybe like a ½ inch, moving over a ½ inch. And then when you get to the end, you can just make a couple of loops and knot it off, trim it down, and then if you've got further to go, go ahead and do that entire process again. Looks nice, doesn't it? You can barely see it. And then once it is all done, this is how it's going to look. Nice and smooth, nothing is stretched too tight. Then I'm going to just, on the inside, like I said, I didn't cut it, so I'm just going to put some glue on there. You're going to please use a cool temperature so that it doesn't melt your fingers, burn your fingertips off. And then just pinch it together and hold it together. And then once that's down, you can add some hot glue or cool temp glue, whichever, underneath, and then hold it down, flip it over, and then you can just kind of cup your hand on the top and press your hand underneath onto your hand above. And this is going to help hold it. If you see on the right, that's how it looks when it is complete. And you won't see this part because you're not going to put this on a glass door. It's not that type of a wreath. It's going to go on a wall or something with a back on it. So I'm just going to go around and continue to press down and add a little bit of glue any place it looks like it needs to be stuck down and in place, just to give it a nice profile once we flip it over. Now time to work on the floral part. I'm going to use a scrap of cardboard and a scrap of floral foam or foam, whatever you have. I'm going to add some glue here, and I've just got it propped up on a box so you can see it. And I'm going to press these two together. It's going to kind of melt them together around the stem of the pumpkin. So here's my beautiful white sunflower that I've chosen to use. I'm just going to put these leaves right on the back of the flower. That was easy enough, right? But you can see this is how it will look. Okay, so now I'm going to take some of these floral picks. They are a little sparse. They did come from Dollar Tree. To make them a little bit bulkier, a little thicker, I am going to just add 2 leaves from one branch to a branch that already has 2 leaves on it. Now we have 4 leaves on our branch. You see how it's got a little curve in it, and that's so it will face forward instead of outward. I don't want it to face the sides. I want it to be kind of facing forward for this project. So here's another little branch. Beautiful. It's got the little berries on it. Same thing. Give it just a little bend, and then we're going to place it opposite on the bottom. Now I cut this flower stem, I should have cut it longer than that, but you'll see, I'll fix that later. No worries about that, I'll fix it later. Okay, so I'm gonna take these little hydrangeas. I think these came from the Dollar Tree, but I've had them for a little while, so I can't recall for sure. But there's only a couple of little pieces on each stem. So to make those thicker, I'm going to put them in sets of 3. I'm going to use my floral wire to just hold those together. And then I'm going to put the entire set of 3 all in one place. Because hydrangeas are full, right? And I don't know why I am so loving hydrangeas this fall. I have done several projects already with fall colored hydrangeas, and I'm loving them. All right, so now we're going to go up. So we have the bottom right and the top left with the hydrangeas. And then I'm going to start adding the little witch hazel pieces. These add so much interest, and that blue with that orange is stunning. Do you like that? I mean, this is not typical for me. I don't usually do the blue, but this year seeing that orange and that blue together is beautiful. So I've done a couple of things different. I'm learning. I'm going with the flow, y'all. Just a little bit here and there now. I'm not going crazy, but just a little bit. So you're going to continue to add in picks where you feel like you need them. I'm going to add my little flyaway pieces here, my little blue berries with the little blue seeds. Instead of using the yellow, I decided to add the blue just to put a little more blue. You can use whatever color you want, and those also came from Dollar Tree. These were not in with the seasonal stuff. They were in with the regular flowers, in case you're looking for these. So you're just going to add these here and there. And you see me struggling to find the little piece of foam back there. No problem. I just keep going with it. And you're going to add them wherever you feel like you need a little extra pizzazz. And then, of course, you don't want to leave the bottom open, so we're going to add one there. Kind of makes my flower a little squished up, doesn't it? If I would have left the stem longer, the flower would not be squished. So you just leave your stem a little bit longer. I want the flower there for now, though, because it helps give me placement of where I am going to put my pieces around it, because that's kind of the center stage of the arrangement part. Now we're going to make some little picks with our ribbons. So the orange ribbon and the blue and white ribbon came from Dollar Tree, and the cream colored burlap came from burlapfabric.com. So I am just going to cut these into pieces that are 9 inches long, and I'm going to do sets of 3 because we're going to make 3 picks with 3 pieces of ribbon each. I'm going to dovetail my ends. You can do slants if you prefer that. I would not recommend that you leave this type of ribbon without a cut because they will fray. This is like a satin type ribbon. It does have wire. They all have wire, and that is very important when you're making these picks because we need to be able to style them or position them and have them hold their placement. So this is all we have to do to put these picks together, and this is easy, isn't it? You're going to take a piece of jute, grab it, flip it over. I'm just kind of gathering with my fingers a little bit, and you can do it this way if you want, but you don't have to. You can just cinch it up and then arrange them. Then I'm going to tie this. Then I'll kind of arrange a little bit to make sure that I fix the places that flip over. Give it a few knots. You could use floral wire here if you would prefer also. Now what I'm using for the pick is just little pieces of the branches where I have cut flowers off of picks before. So you know you always have the stems left. I save those because they're really good for using in projects. Now I'm going to add hot glue in the middle, put that little pick there, and then tie it tightly down. This is going to give it a lot of security. And then glue needs to be dry completely. So this is why the wire is important. You see how it has all that dimension in it? Some are raised above others. You've got little curves in the ends. If you didn't have wired ribbon, these would just flop around. Cute. So we're going to do that 3 times, and we'll have 3 of these beautiful little picks. So just like when I'm making a bow, I fluff the heck out of any ribbon I get. If you watch me for any length of time, you know that. It's important, and I love to do it. Love it. Love it a lot. So now I'm just going to start placing these in where, again, I'm just kind of feeling like I want them to be. There's really no rhyme or reason to this. And I'm not putting these in a particular pattern or angle. I just like it over here, so this is where I'm going to put it. And this is where my flower being sunk in needs to be removed. So I'm going to put the little witch hazel in that I pulled out when I pulled out my flower, and I'm just going to go ahead and add these picks in here and there. A lot of people like to work in a triangular pattern, but in this particular situation, I did not do that. I just, again, put them where I felt like I needed them, or where they would look nice. And I put one up here. Now I'm going to add a longer stem onto my flower, my beautiful sunflower, and then place it back down on the inside. Now it sits above the rest of it, and it's not sunk in. Doesn't that look better? Yes, that looks better. So I think we could do a little something extra here. All right, so now I'm just going to remove the hanger off of this little leaf, and we're going to use it to make a bow to go on the top, and the bow is going to cover up the little hole. Okay, so you can put that wherever you would like, but let me show you how to make the bow first. You're just going to wrap it over on itself, because this has been cut. So now I have a little piece that I cut to go around the middle. I'm going to trim it down, add a little bit of hot glue here, and I'm going to grab another floral pick and use that as an extra finger to push that down in place. And look at our little bow. Cute. Now with a little bit of hot glue, I can put it right over the hole in the top of that leaf. And I am thankful that it fit nicely. Now we're going to make a pick out of this leaf. So we're just going to grab another little branch here and hot glue it down on the back, and then decide where we want to put it. And at first I was thinking I would put it on the left side, but then I thought, no, I'm going to go ahead and put it on the right. So I just pressed it down into the foam on the right, and this is how it looks. Okay, so if you're not liking this blue, what colors would you have used in this project? You could always have used a yellow sunflower if you would like. You could use a different color scarf, you know, and then go off of that. Pick your florals based on that. That would certainly be good as well. And you can make it smaller if you don't like such a big floral area on the top. You could also leave off the ribbon picks if that's not something that you like. Or you could use buffalo check if you're into that. I'm going to use a cone of foam. I got a thrifted piece that is gorgeous, and it came from Kirkland's. Beautiful. It's a candlestick. And then a variety of pumpkins. This is a flocked garland that I got at the Dollar Tree Plus, and then there are the ones that are on picks. There are the ones that are sweater. There is leather pumpkins. There's tiny pumpkins, big pumpkins, green, white, whatever you like. And then some picks. I'm going to carefully take the rope off of here and glue my stem back down. So if you're going to take your rope off, just be careful. It will sometimes show underneath the white, but you can go over that with a little bit of paint if you would like, or you could just leave it alone. Whatever you prefer. Maybe you could even use brown there if you wanted. Make that stem look a little bit better. Doesn't match perfectly, but I'm perfectly okay with that. So I'm going to break my picks in half because we don't need an entire stick. We just need to use something to hold it down into this foam. I am not using glue here. It would take a whole package of glue and it would be a big old mess. Now you see the pumpkin hangs down longer. If you want to sit this down on the table and not raise it up, you would want your pumpkins to be sitting flush with the bottom and not extending below. But since mine is going to be on a candlestick, we want them to hang over the edge because I don't want to see the foam, right? We want to cover that completely up. You're going to add a variety of pumpkins. I do suggest that you put the bigger pumpkins toward the bottom, and then as you work your way up, add the smaller ones. That way you keep the cone shape. And that's kind of the idea with this pumpkin tower, is to keep your that shape. So I'm just going to add along here and there. There is no pattern. I'm trying to make sure that I don't have too many of the same color in the same spot. And since you're not gluing this, as you're putting them down, you can remove them, just like right there. And this is like the perfect way if you have accidentally went overboard and you have a ton of pumpkins in your stash, which I had a ton of pumpkins because I had a lot donated to me. this is like the perfect way to use them and make a beautiful centerpiece or tabletop decor, or to go on your mantle, whatever you like. This is like the perfect way to use them. And because we are not gluing them in place, we can also take these apart at some point and use them for projects for maybe next year or the end of this year. Perfect. It works out for everybody. So some of these pumpkins actually came off of those picks. Those darker orange ones that you see, they actually came off of the picks. And I like all of those colors together. I thought I had a lot of pumpkins, but in the end I was scratching around trying to find what else I had, and then I remembered that I had bought some of those cream colored pick pumpkins, and they were great to go in those little small spaces. But you can see there are still little gaps and spaces in there, and this is where the greenery comes in. So I'm going to grab some of that pale greenery and start pushing those leaves into the foam underneath. Some have berries, some don't, some have acorns, just whatever you feel like you want to use. So you can see I've added in all of the pale ones that I like. And I've tried to put some of the berries up top, because the top is going to have a lot of berries on it. That's going to be like the topper of this little tower. These little pieces I just thrifted this past week, and I'm going to pull all of those off of the plastic. They're single pieces, and I'm going to add them to the middle of each of the little areas where I have the pale colored greenery. I think this is like the perfect way to add more orange into it, because some of those pumpkins are orange, you know. I don't want this to be completely pale colored or cream colored. I want it to have some of that richness that I love so much about fall. That rustic vibrancy, I guess you could say. So I'm just going to add those in the middle of each of those little bundles of the pale stuff. And I do this continuously. I turn it around and around to make sure I've got my gaps covered. And then I had a little bag of these little berry pieces. I think there's like little picks that you can get at Dollar Tree that I got this year. And I'm going to add those in around the top. It's going to help keep the shape. We don't want anything too bulky up there. We want this to still look like it is, you know, a triangular form. And this is how it's looking, and I am loving it. There are still a couple of gaps, and I do address those, so don't worry about that. I want to kind of keep it balanced. I like it. Now we are going to give it a stand. So this is kind of indented here. I'm just going to use an ornament, a little wood slice ornament that happens to be the exact same thickness of the that we need, so that the bottom of the cone will sit on top of it. I'm going to add some Fix All adhesive that comes from Dollar Tree, and then I'm going to use a little bit of hot glue, and it's on my cool setting, because you know, if it's on hot it can melt it. And I'm going to try to get my placement in the center here. If it's not perfectly straight, that's okay, because you can go back in and add more leaves around the bottom and you'll never be able to see it. Once it's cooled off, look at this little beauty. Oh, I love it. I love it. I wish I had more green pumpkins in there, but I didn't buy enough.
This is where I got my inspiration. I thrifted this piece. It looks like it came from Hobby Lobby in 2016. Some Dollar Tree ribbon. And I'm really just trying to find some ribbon that's going to match the colors that are in that little sign. And then this one. I've got a variety of leaves. Also some that are kind of green and taller. These two pumpkins that I thrifted. This one is foam. Got some damage, but I'm not really worried. I mean, natural pumpkins have dents and bangs too, right? And then this one is actually plastic, and it said platform on the sticker, but I'd already taken that off. It is hard, so there's no way I'm going to put a dowel rod all the way through it. So I just thought, let's get the Gorilla Glue and see if this will work. So I put it in there and kind of forced it down into the little glue gun to make sure that it was really flooded and I had a good amount here. It is flat, there's no lip, so it should grab hold to the little dimples in that other pumpkin, the foam pumpkin, and it should stick together fine. So I wanted to see if this was going to work for me, and I am very pleased to report that yes, it did absolutely just fine by itself. Now, ideally, if you've got some damage to one of your pieces, you might want to consider putting that in the back. But since it's a centerpiece, you know, we want all sides to be pretty or presentable anyway, right? So thankfully, this sits right on top, and because it is a sign, it already has a bottom on it, and that is going to help us to put this down flat on the top. I'm just using my double stick tape. Press it down. You can call this alien tape or nano tape, just depends where you buy it. I get mine from Timo. I do have that in the description box below if you want to look at the pricing there, because it's the cheapest place that I have found it so far. I'm also going to take my hot glue and add just a little bit, because you know on the top of the pumpkin it has a little indentation. So I'm just going to add a little bit there so there's no gap. All right, and everything's sticking together well, no problem. So I am going to start on a bow. Obviously, if you're not a person who likes a bow, you do not have to use one. The bow just makes a pretty presentation, but like I said, completely up to you. Look at all these together. I love that color. It has been a couple of years now where I've really liked the way that blue looks with the orange and cream colors. For Thanksgiving, I did a sweater pumpkin with some blue in it, and I really loved it, and I had a lot of nice responses for it. So I decided I would use those colors. They look nice with the sign, and we're going to give it a whirl again and see how y'all like it. So I will cut two 18-inch pieces of each one of these ribbons, and then I'm dovetailing my ends. If you don't want to dovetail, you don't have to. You can cut on a slant. Totally up to you. It just makes it look a little more finished and deliberate, right? Okay, so once those are all done, I'm going to take a pipe cleaner and put these together. Now for this particular one, we are going to do a funky bow, or sort of a play on a funky bow, I guess. Because rather than folding it all the way to the end, we're going to fold it a quarter of the way. And then I'm going to grab it right above where it ends and place it tightly between my thumb and my forefinger. You can see the ends there. You want to make sure that they're there, otherwise your bow's going to come apart. And I'll do the same thing with each one, folding it down, pinching it to the middle, and then pressing it right in there. This is what you do for this type of bow until you got your hands full. I like to alternate my patterns back and forth, and obviously if you have a pattern ribbon like we do on the pumpkin one here, you want to make sure you have it in the correct direction, unless it doesn't bother you to be upside down, or you know, if your tails are upside down and you're okay with that, then hey, I'm okay with that. After all, it's yours and you need to make it your own, right? That's right. Go with your gut. Go what feels right and brings you joy. And it would bring me a lot of joy if you would subscribe to this channel. I enjoy so much encouraging you to do things, to think outside of the box, to make your home beautiful on a budget, and just really not feel like you need permission from anybody to do that, right? You just really don't need permission from anybody. You don't need anybody to tell you it's okay. If you think that it's great, then it's great. That's all you need. Okay. So now I've got all my little bows. I'm just kind of making sure that all the little loops are about even in height. I haven't let go of that. I'm still holding it. I'm going to take my pipe cleaner, hold it in my fingers and around my thumb, and then I'll feed this through here. If you let go, you might lose your loops. So just keep holding on with that one hand, and you can definitely do it. It may take some practice, but you can. And you can also use a clamp to hold it if you need to do that. Clamp, a clip, whatever you have. Now I'm going to cut off the excess once it is nice and tight. Then I'll turn my bow upside down and flip out each of those tails. I want to try to make sure that the pattern side is up. That's important. If you have a pattern ribbon, it's one-sided. Make sure the pretty side is facing the table, right? Not towards you, but the table, because when you flip it over, then it's going to be up. Now, y'all just don't even know. This ribbon with this open weave like that, it's very pretty, but dovetailing is just, it's a mess. That probably should have been just cut straight off, but you know, I make it work. Now I'm just going to take those loops on the bow and squish them all out. The beauty of that lovely wired ribbon is that when you put it in place, it generally will stay there. It'll hold that form and be nice and loopy and pretty for you, just like that. So then you can go in there and fix up anything you need to fix up. This was driving me nuts. I could not find a way to cut it that looked decent. It just looks crazy. It just looks plumb nuts, doesn't it? I just keep working with it too, y'all. Just keep working with it. All right, so now I'm going to take a little piece of a floral stem because I saved these, and I'm just going to use my little jewelry pliers here to kind of put like a foot on this. I'm going to bend it and then make a little foot, like a little stand. And I'll put this right down into this bow because I want this bow to be on a pick rather than tied down. If you want to tie it, you can though. Totally up to you. All right, we're going to set that aside and let that glue sit up. And I will start working on this centerpiece. Now, I like these leaves. These are oak leaves. There's like a greenish yellow, a darker orange with a lighter orange, and then sort of a yellow and light orange together. It's a bunch of variety in there. And I'm trying to make sure that I kind of space them out. This is your friendly reminder that you are not alone. It's important to me to let you know that every single time that we talk, every single time that we have an opportunity to meet up on these videos, that you are not alone, that you are important, that you are worthy, and you are wanted. I want you to remember that, okay? Give me your word. Say it. I'm important. I'm worthy. I'm loved. Okay, good job. Now I'm going to start working up here around the sign. I'm going to put a couple of those, looks like dried eucalyptus pieces behind. I'm going to stand them up back there. I'll add a little glue and put these right on the back of that sign. Y'all could also use a sign from the Dollar Tree to do this, and pumpkins probably from the Dollar Tree. You can do this on a smaller scale. You can do this on a larger scale with even a yard sign if you wanted to. Take the inspiration and make it your own. Now, what you can't see me doing because I got carried away and forgot to move the camera is I'm just adding some right underneath the edge of the sign on the top of that other pumpkin. So there's some on the bottom and the top. Now I'm pushing that down into that foam pumpkin. The bow is now on there, pushed straight in. It is holding its own. And I'm just kind of playing with the tails. If you get your bow up there and you decide, you know what, I don't need all these extra tails on this funky bow, just take those ends and roll them under. You see how I'm doing that with my fingers? Roll them under. That's all you have to do. And then you could end up with a bow that's all rolled under, or just 2 tails, or 3 or 4. When you play with it enough, you'll know what I'm talking about. And this is your opportunity. If you want to, have any sticking straight up and you want to trim them down a little, you can do that too. I love making a funky bow as far as a decorative bow because you've got a lot of flexibility and you can hardly mess it up. It's almost foolproof, right? Yes. See, it was driving me nuts. I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to cut it straight across, whatever. So I did. And then again, a couple more of those little pieces on the top. It gets to a point where you're doing a craft and you kind of, I've talked about this before, but it's like your intuition kind of kicks in, your creativity kicks in, and you kind of lose track of time, and you just go straight into what you're doing, and you're not paying attention to anything else around you. I bet y'all's husbands and boyfriends and kids just love that, right? Because I know mine do. I know my kids just love it when I'm lost down here. And, an hour will go by, and Mom, where's Mom? It's supper time. Where's the food? Sorry, kids. If y'all watch this in the future, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So now, of course, we want to cover up the back. If you want to take that sticker off, please take the sticker off. It's the time thing with me, so I just left it on there. But I covered it up with some greenery, and now I'm going to add some more leaves right on the top and the back because we don't want anything looking bald. And for me, I would most likely put this on a table that was close to a wall, if it was pushed up against the wall or something like that, because the pretty side is just on one side. But you could do 2 signs back to back, and then you wouldn't have to use the taller greenery, and that would be pretty too. I tucked a couple of more leaves right into the bow, and then decided, you know what, I'm putting a pumpkin on here. So I cut a foam pumpkin in half, and then I put the pieces on top of each other and made a little stack. I took another one of those leaves and just trimmed off a little faux leaf to go on the top, replaced the stem, and put the faux leaf right on top of the little pumpkin stack. So it's a pumpkin stack with a pumpkin stack. Voila. I love this, y'all. All right, y'all saw me with my thrifting haul that I did. That's where I got that trim from. These are fake leaves from Dollar Tree. They're that faux leather. Then I've got some ribbon that I thrifted. Somebody graciously left plenty on this spool. And here's another sign. I believe it came from the same place, but this one did not have a sign on the back of it, or a tag on the back, I mean. This is a wreath that I have used before. It is just wrapped with a rope. You can have one wrapped with rope, or you can have burlap wrapped. That would be perfectly fine too. Now, I knew I wanted to take the base off of here without breaking the base because I thought that would be great to use on other projects. So I'm going to save the base as best I can by heating this up, trying to loosen the glue a little bit, trying to loosen this in that stand just a little bit with my awl, and I flip it over, do it on the other side. I finally turn it over on my table and whack it with a hammer, and the end came cleanly away. Now it's got a little bit of a rough edge there. You can see where it came from. I'm going to take those nails out because a lot of times they will have nails in there too, so just be careful, don't hurt yourself. And then I'll just sand this down so it's nice and smooth, and there'll be no splinters and no messy looking on the bottom. If you want to go over that with some antiquing wax and let that dry, you can do that too. I just left mine just like it is. So I'll flip my wreath over, and I'm going to take this trim and go around the edge of the back. And I'll just press the solid piece down so that the loops are going over the edge. And, you know, if you see me do it this way and you like this better than the way that I actually do it, then you can do this in reverse. You could just do the same method on the curved side or the front side of it. You can totally decide. And you can see the difference as I'm gluing it on here. I won't show you the whole process because, frankly, I'm out of frame. Of course, I mean, it wouldn't be one of my videos if you could see everything I was doing, right? Look at that. Why does that remind me of pumpkin pie? I do not know, but that is cute. And it's exactly how I thought it would be. I love it. It is so similar to the color of these faux leather leaves. That just tickled me to death too, because I've been wanting to use these on something this year. So now I know where I want them. I'm just going to lift them up and glue them together. And then I'll do the same thing with the other ones. I'll leave them in the position they're in because I know I like it like that. That's the right position for me. I'm going to cut the little stems off. We don't need those in the way. You grab those off the top. And I guess this would be an oak leaf and a maple leaf. Is that what I'm looking at? For those of you who know your leaves, because apparently I don't know my leaves. Okay, so I know I want them like this. I'll hold them where I would like them to stay and flip them over, then add the glue because I can't see from the front when I'm on the back, but I know where I envisioned them, so I just flipped it over, put the glue on there. When I flip the sign over, they're exactly where I wanted them to be. And all I have to do is kind of get that little barn and a silo just kind of sized up and make sure that they're pretty much in the center. I'll add some glue behind the leaves and press them down. I don't want to press them all the way down because I want them to have a little movement, meaning that they stand out a little bit. You know what I'm saying, right? It's not all curved and glued flat down. Okay, so I'm going to take some of that beautiful ribbon, which matches perfectly with this, and just make a very simple bow to go up there at the top. Bows are not necessary. For those of you who do not want to use a bow, this would be perfect without the bow. Again, I like to give those options for people who want to change it up just a little bit and who enjoy bows at holiday time or just, you know, really like that pretty country look of a bow. I'm just tying it off with some jute, and I'll make a double knot and then cut it off. because it's such a light piece of ribbon and a small bow that a little bit of hot glue is all we need to hold that on there. I'm going to cut these at a slant, so no dovetail on this bow. And then I'll just figure out kind of where I want it to be, put a little glue on the back, and push it down in place and just hold it for a minute. Sometimes the bows will, especially wired ribbon bows, will kind of lift up a little bit, and I don't want that to happen, so just being careful. Now I'm going to make some faux tails. I'm just going to take about 8 inches folded over, cut it off, fold the ends together, and then I will cut these into a dovetail. That just gets twice the work done in half the time. Squeeze them on the bottom, add a little bit of hot glue in there. Protect your fingers, everybody, protect your fingers. Making sure I can put it on the back of the sign, because you got to have something to put the glue on. And I'll just push it up onto the back of the sign, and it will have those little faux tails just poking out. Very cute. It extends that pattern from the top left down into the right corner, and it's just a little something unexpected. Again, feel free to do it your way. If this is not something that you appreciate or enjoy, then you don't have to do it at all. Or you could maybe add another little small bow down there if you would rather do that. Now, just because there's blue on our turkey and there's blue on the baby's dress, I thought, let's just add a little bit of blueberry in there. And there are grapes on the bottom. I don't think you can, yeah, you can see them a little bit. I wanted to add a little blue. So then I'm going to go down here with this faux Dollar Tree pumpkin, and I'm going to carefully just cut this off. I'm not cutting it in half. This is like a slither of it. It's not a lot, because I don't want it to stick out too far. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue and press it down over that corner, and then replace the little stem. And then you could do a little leaf there if you want to finish that one off. And you can just hang it from the back, or you can use whatever type of hanger works for you on your door or your wall. Here's some more of that beautiful trim. I'm going to give you 2 options for this. This is a candle jar. Yes, I took all the paint off the outside. I took all the wax that was left out, cleaned it very well, and saved it. It's a heavy glass jar, and I knew I could use it again. I got a spray bottle that only has water in it, and some of these window clings. They're window clings or glass clings. These came from the Amazon Overstock store, so if you're looking for fall, maybe like a fall cling, and you want to order these, you'll have to do a search on Amazon for fall window clings. Or you can use the ones you get from Dollar Tree or Dollar General or Family Dollar or Walmart, whichever ones that look good to you. I thought these looked great with the colors and the scheme that I already had going, so I thought they would be perfect as well in an old-fashioned theme. I am going to give it a good spray of water, just following the directions here, mist it with water, and then I'm going to find my placement. This is the one I chose. There are a lot of beautiful options here. And I'll just twist this around, lay it down, and where the overhang there from the bottom of that stick or that limb is, I'll be trimming that off. I want to make sure I have plenty of room. You see how easily it slips around there? Pushing the bubbles out. It's thin, so it's nice. It looks almost like this is painted on, and it's got that sort of a watercolor look, which makes it great. Now, if you don't have an old candle jar that you want to recycle, you can use any type of jar that you already have at your house. You can get jars and glasses from Dollar Tree as well. I'm going to choose a couple of birds to add on here because it comes in so many different limbs and leaf pieces. You can really customize this to make it your own. And that's why, even though it seems like such an easy thing to do, I had to show y'all that there are so many different ways that you can make it your own for cheap. For cheap, right? I paid $5 at the Amazon Overstock store for this entire pack of these window clings. I sure did. And in the beginning, when I bought it, I thought that it had several of the same page in there until I opened it to get it out and realized, oh my goodness, all of them are different. You may be seeing these again in another video. So I'm just going to add these here and there. And you know, if you got a good jar that you really, really love, you can take these off after fall and you can put Christmas on here. Then you can do Easter on here. Then you can do a happy birthday. Totally up to you. Oh, you could do something for Christmas and then put peppermints in here or candy canes, just about the right size for the regular, those short candy canes. That would work too. I also thought when I was making this, if it's on your Thanksgiving table, wouldn't it be a lovely sentiment if you had a pad and a pencil and everybody was to write one thing that they're thankful for this year and then put it in the jar and put the lid on it. Put those at the end of your day, put them in a Ziploc bag, put them away, put them in an envelope, save them for next year, and then next year read what everybody was thankful for the year before. And that would be such a fun thing to do. Now, easy enough. And when you need to add more, you just squirt a little more water on there. And when you are completely done and happy with it, then you can just pat it dry. Now for the lid, you can leave it with nothing on it, or if you would like to, you can take a little bit of that trim and add a little hot glue and put this around the top of it. And so this will overhang the edge of it and give it a little more of a decorative look. You can use rickrack. You can use, if you had, let me think of what else could we use on there. Baker's twine would be pretty. A thin ribbon would be pretty. The trims that you get from Dollar Tree that are that burlap, and some look braided and some are just ornate, that would be pretty. There's lots of things you could do here. Just going to wrap it all the way around, and when I get back to the original spot, I'll trim it off. I'm going to try to make it look as clean and neat as possible. Pick off the spider webs, and then I'm using a little bit of heat to kind of get the spider webs off of there. It'll also help if you have any wrinkles to get the wrinkles out. So mine was set aside to air dry, but I wanted to show you that you can use a cloth and gently just press down. You don't want to rub it because you're going to you'll knock those off. So just pat it dry. Be sure you don't slide anything around. Just double check and just be patient. It's a quick craft, I wanted to show you the details of how pretty this is. So I'm just stuffing a cloth in here to show you. Look how pretty. Does that not look like it is hand painted? Like you designed your own little beautiful jar? And of course, if you wanted to do another candle in there, I guess you could, but you wouldn't want the wax getting too close to the plastic part because it might make it kind of melt on the outside. But I'll show you an option if you like the candle idea. Okay, so there it is with the trim on it. If you like that look, there you go. I love the lid on this, the wood with the little handle. So cute. Two different chalk paints here. I've got a Spanish moss and plaster. I'm going to use some antiquing wax, a couple of different brushes, and the Iron Orchid Designs Transfer Seed Catalog. These are 8x12 sheets. I have used them before and absolutely love this pack. So here's an idea of the colors that I want to use in here because they're very fall looking, and this one itself just looks like fall to me. These, and I've got some that have a little bit of fruit on them. And we're going to kind of modify a few things. So this is just like a planked sign, like a DIY sign, I guess. But I've been using it for years to put my tablet on when I'm sitting in the bed. Yes, working from the bed. I have done that before. And I could put my coffee on there, my remote, my tablet, little notepad, whatever. And now I'm going to get the coffee rings off of it as best as I can, dry it off, and we are going to take the hanger off because, like I said, this is for like a sign. I'm going to pull this off. I encourage y'all to think outside the box. What do you have that maybe you can use to make a little lap tray of your own? I'll be sure to take out the staples too, and then sand over the spots where the staples were so there's no splinters or little jagged areas here. This isn't actual wood. I think it's like a MDF or something. And then I'll also take the sticker off and kind of try to remove that little white price tag on there. I'm going to start off by putting this Spanish moss colored chalk paint all over the bottom. We're going to do a crackle paint today. And I'm trying a different crackle medium today, so this is going to be a little different for me. We'll see how you like it and see how I like it. So the base coat is going to be green. The top coat is going to be that pretty plaster color. It needs to be definitely dry in between. You can see that it kind of gets streaky and the color changes. All right, once it's completely dry, I'm going to take this folk art crackle. This actually came from a subscriber. So what I'm doing is following the directions, and I'm going to go all the way down each one of these planks. I'm just working on each little section at a time. Now there's no instructions as far as putting it on sideways, upside down, at a diagonal, a slant, horizontal, vertical, whatever. I'm just going to put it on and make sure that the final strokes I make are up and down, so all of them are in the same, you know, they'll look the same. Each plank will look the same once we get the next layer on top. So the thing about this one is you are to make sure that it dries for an hour before you put the next coat on. So this is what it looks like when it's wet, almost like a varnish. And then we'll wait 1 hour and come back, and this is about 30 minutes into it. You can see that it's starting to dry, but I don't see anything like that would make me think that this might work. At this point, I still don't know. So we're going to let it continue to dry, and I'm going to take apart the sections that I know I want to use on here. My idea is to use a bunch of different types of media. So we're going to use some stickers that are like a vellum. We're going to use some stickers that are like a glossy color that I got from Temu. We're going to be using these transfers. You're just really going to let your imagination run wild on this one, because this one will be in your room or in your lap, in your chair, whichever way it goes. So you want this to be something that you really enjoy. And I'm going to make this into something very rustic yet whimsical. I think you're going to like it, so stay tuned. Okay, so I've chosen which ones I like. I've cut them down to a manageable size. This is completely dry, and we're going to start adding the plaster paint on top. At this point, I'm scared. You know, I'm fearing. Don't know what's going to happen here. The one thing I do know about doing a crackle is that you need to try to go in the same direction and not go back over what you have already put down. I do make a little boo-boo on one of my planks here, but once it is all covered and crackled, you really can't tell the difference. It kind of blends in together. All right, so I'm going to also go down the side of the board because that ran down the side of the board as well. So you see how I bumped it over there on that side? It's okay though. We're gonna let it go, and look at the crackle starting already. Now I'll put this down on something dry, because when you use school paint, you know, Elmer's paint or whatever you use that while it's still wet, and it's real easy for the glue and the paint to blend together. But this way was so much easier. So I'll leave it a little bit streaky as well, just like I did the green finish underneath, because when it starts to crackle, you have more of, yeah, I'm going to say dimension, because that's what it is. You're going to have different colors showing underneath, so it looks like different ages of paint that has been applied and been worn off, right? I think it's great for this rustic piece as well. But you can choose whatever colors you like. I think a darker underneath and a lighter one on top shows the best, but you do it any way that you like. And look, before I'm even completely done, I'm working on the sides here. Look at all the crackling. Look how beautiful this is all the way across. Now you see on this side I use less paint, so the crackles are smaller, and on this side I use more, so they're bigger. Now you're supposed to just let this dry for an hour, but I'm going to go ahead and use my drying tool just to see if that would be okay, and it was totally okay. It didn't hurt anything. It really definitely brought those cracks out in there. Oh, so pretty. And can you tell I was excited? I was so happy that that was not a flub, because, you know, this is a piece I use every day. Yay! Okay, so you need to seal it, whether you use Mod Podge and let that dry, whether you use a wax paint sealer, like a spray, you can do that as well. That's what I did. Before you put down these transfers, because the transfers will, if you mess it up and you try to lift it again, it will pick up the flakes of the paint and leave holes underneath. So you would be seeing a big gaping hole with that green in there. I don't want that to happen. So sealing it first is going to help keep that from happening. I'm going to put these down, not straight up and down, but just laid all over here. Almost like maybe if I was looking at magazines or seed packages and I just had them laid out in front of me, right? I'm going to use the tool that comes with the kit, or with the stuff that you get from IOD. It's like an acrylic type stick, and it works pretty good. For me, I prefer to use that little wooden stick that I have in my hand now. I don't know what kind of tool this is. I don't know where it originally came from, because I pick out little things that I think I can craft with at the bins, in the Goodwill bins. So I don't know what their original intention is for, right? Didn't come in its packaging. So once I know that I have got that down as good as possible, I'm going to carefully lift. Sometimes little sections will hang and they're not completely off, so you just go back over it as you're lifting to make sure you don't rip off part of your word, or you pull the petals or the leaves off. You know, the little delicate pieces around the edge are the ones that typically will come off. Whatever reason you're here at my channel today, I want to say thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you being here and taking your precious time on my channel. Okay, so there it is. I'm going to take that backing and rub all over the top of it. Make sure everything is stuck down. I'm going to kind of focus with my fingernails right around the little cracks between the boards, because if we want this to look like it is painted on, we're going to have to show those cracks, right? So you can use whatever tool you want to use for this. I do start off by using my little wood piece. I do use a little tool that comes with the Cricut machine, so I've used those. I've used a flathead screwdriver. You can use whatever you want to use here. Push it down in there. But I'll show you later how you can do it with a razor or like a blade tool. Okay, we're going to continue along. Don't you love this dark color on here? I think that screams fall. Of course, it says May on the side, but you know, not worried about that. This could be an all year round piece. It's going to be for me anyway. But I did love the idea of using fall colors here. So this is just kind of off in the corner too, and I'm going to do the same thing, push it all down. I won't make you watch every bit of all of this because, you know, boring. But I'm going to show you that it is important. You really do need to carefully lift that up, and then I'll rub that down as well. Then you're going to pick whatever tool you want to use again. You could even use your driver's license here if you needed to. An old credit card, your Walmart card, whatever. Maybe even one of those metal rulers would work here too. So you have to push it down in there. You have to really push it or cut it. Okay, same thing here. I use the roses on this one, and I'm going to press this one down in here. If it starts to lift up, then you can use something to cut it off, and it's easy to do, very easy to do, but you just got to protect yourself, right, so you don't cut yourself. All right, so now I've got this little flower fairy box. It came from Temu, but you can use any stickers from anywhere to add to yours. I thought, how adorable would all these little fairies and flowers and ferns and all of that, how cute would that be? Okay, so I'm using my weeding tool to pick up the top layer off of its backing, because these just look like they're a little piece of plastic, but they are stickers. They just can be a little bit difficult to get off that backing, but this is what they look like. And they do have like a sort of a shiny appearance, like a plasticky type appearance where everything else is matte. But we're going to seal this in the end, and everything is going to look the same. So I hope you like it as much as I do. I know we've spent already over 12 minutes on this project, but man, the payoff is so nice. I will be looking at this little beauty every day when I take a break or have my coffee or answer comments from you. I'll have this to look at, and how precious, how sweet and precious. Okay, now these are kind of thick, so I'm going to use my fingernail and kind of make sure that they're pushed down in there. Then I'm using my weeding tool to kind of poke little holes, dot, 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 and then scratch that out. Okay. I'm still poking in here, and this is before I actually got out my utility knife, because I use that thing. I used my utility knife for this before, but I'm trying to give you options. Now look at her. This little fairy, she's holding her dress like she's ready for some pollen to drop out of that flower, and she's kind of looking up at the other fairies. So cute. We can just use our imaginations, ladies and gents. Just use your imagination. You could do this with bees, any transfers that you have. If you've got some stickers that you think would be cool and that would coordinate with it, use it. Definitely. Look, we'll make him where it looks like he's about to step off the flower bud. So cute. Now you won't see me do this entire thing, but I will show you, little bits and pieces, just so that you can feel inspired as well. I'm going to put her down there. It's almost like she's holding a little seed pod, and then it says seeds beside her on the transfer. Cute. Everything's like coordinated. This little fella was already on like a rose branch, so we're going to put this up here too, so he fits in really well with that. You could also use your squeegee, but you have to make sure that it's kind of soft, or again, you don't want to get under the edge of that crackle layer and pick it up and mess it up. So far, so good. Oh, this is so nice. I can just imagine what y'all are going to come up with and what kind of projects you are going to do. So to give it a little more of a woodland whimsical look, I've got some more of these stickers. These are little mushrooms, and the colors look good together, and look, everything just coordinates. It's so pretty. You could play a little game, where's the fairy, count fairies. You could play it with your kids or grandkids. How many mushrooms do you see? It just would be fun. I think it would be fun. You could ask which one of these flowers would you live in? And no, this channel is not for kids, but most of us have kids or grandkids, and it's summertime, so we try to find things to do with them that's fun. Now this one, I didn't want that background color. So, for this project, everything looks kind of light and airy, and I wanted to continue that look. So I just trimmed out the bulk of it as much as I could. I'm going to find a spot for it, put it down here. You know the process by now. We're going to make sure everything is stuck down. Now everything on the other transfers has like a black line all the way around it. This gives it a little more of an edge. You can really see the details better. So I am also going to be fixing mine so you can see the details. Okay, so here's the knife. When I put the blade in, I'm just holding it to the plank on one side and cutting down, and then holding it against the plank on the other side and cutting down. And then when you do that, it just leaves a long strip in the middle that you can just pick out. And you can just lift it out of there and throw it away, and then you have a nice clean edge. And you don't have to worry about these coming apart, because we're going to seal it, and when it is sealed, it's going to stay right in place. So I'm just taking a regular pencil here, and I'm just carefully going around the edge of this entire thing to give it a similar kind of outline to what is in the rest of the pieces here. And it's the only little piece of fruit we got. Yes. Okay. Now seal it with whatever type of Mod Podge you like. This is going to make sure that, one, everything stays down in place and nothing comes apart. And two, it's going to protect your surface so you don't lose your paint. When you clean it, you want to have something that you can wipe off. Podge, you don't want to sit a glass of iced tea on here. You want to use a coaster, unless you use the Mod Podge that is specifically for dishwasher safe or outdoor. Those types are formulated to kind of repel water. So just be sure you're using the correct thing for the purpose that you're using, right? Now this is it all wet. I'm also going to take a very thin brush and go right down the cracks, because this will seal whatever edge is still down in there that wasn't cut out. So this is it wet. And here it is dry. Nice and vibrant. And look how special it is. I absolutely love it. Oh, my heart is so happy. Look at all the goodies in here. Oh yeah, I can envision myself playing with my grandson and, you know, pointing to all the little fairies in here and counting the fairies. And oh yeah, we're going to have a blast one day. I hope that you try this project. We're going to use some more of this plaster chalk paint, 2 different ribbons. These were both thrift finds. They do have wire. I'm going to use a little bit of garland. It has the little pitberry garland. This came from Temu, but you can use any print of a magazine, a calendar, whatever you want to use for this. I love the coloring in this. I love that it has sunflowers in it too, and an old little shack house. Look at the beautiful rich colors. And the watercolor tree. This very, very pretty print. This is a thrifted pumpkin board that I got. I don't know what kind of board this is, but it's extremely lightweight. Very lightweight. I'm going to cut this stiff hanger off of it. And I have already wiped it down, and now I'm going to use a little standing block and pay attention mainly to the side that I am going to be putting the print on. I want to make sure if there's any type of sealer on this wood that I get enough of the fibers of the wood lifted so that we will have good adherence with our paint and with the sticker we're going to put on it. So then you're going to wipe it with a dry cloth and get the dust off from the sander. I have got my paint here. I'm going to tap most of it down onto the paper, and no, I'm not wasting paint. I'm actually pushing it up into the bristles of the brush so that it comes out very lightly like this. Now normally I would go with the grain, but this time I decided, what would it look like if we just went against the grain? I mean, you know, what would it look like? Let's just try it and see. I mean, you know, we don't have to follow rules in our own crafts, do we? I'm going to try to blend a little bit. I'm using such a light touch right now, y'all. And then I can go in the other direction when I get ready to go in the other direction. The point of me putting this on here is that it's a clear backing. It's not a white backing on the sticker. So if you have a dark background instead of a light background over underneath where the picture is, it's going to look very dark and muddy, and I want it to have some light in it. So doing this is going to give us that. Now don't worry, I'm going to put some warmth back into this. I will be putting it back into there, but for now we need to focus on making sure that that picture really pops. So I'll dry it with my heat tool here, and then when it's dry I can take this sticker off and put this on here. Now it's a decal. I think you look actually under, this is going to sound so weird, from Temu, toilet stickers. Yeah, apparently there's a thing where people put stickers on their toilet. I don't know. They look like wall decals to me, or big old stickers, and that's how I use them. So you can also look under wall decals, fall wall decals, and you could probably find something similar to this. I don't think I paid $2 for this, and that's a whole lot cheaper and quicker than me having to get out a Cricut or the whole process. I just know this is quicker. It's already done. I'm gonna use it. And to show y'all, if you don't have those expensive tools like that, you can still make pretty things. You just have to find alternatives, right? Now this is just the Mod Podge squeegee. Use any squeegee you want, but I'm just using this to pull the air that might be underneath out and push it out. So from the center, go out, 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 and then you can go all the way across. You got to leave a little track there for it to go down, right? Got to leave a little opening. Now it's nice and flat. Very pretty. Very, very pretty. And if you like the lighter color on here, you can leave it absolutely just like that. But you know me. Here we are with the antiquing wax and the big old brush. I'm going to pop that up and down, push that up into the bristles, and then I'm going to start going around my edges. There's a little lip on the edge of this pumpkin where it is cut. I don't know if you can tell, maybe you can when I'm putting on this, do you see a little divot there? It's actually a little lip, so it's raised up higher in the middle than it is on the sides. Very subtle though. I like to do it lightly. As you know, I start off very light and then I begin to add to it. Just add to it until I get it built up to the warmth that I like. And I think this is fine. This is going to look fine. And the white underneath there, or the plaster underneath there, almost looks like fog in the morning, you know, in the fall morning. I made my bow a little too big to begin with, so do as I say, not as I do. I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces, 18 inches of this gold, dovetailing both ends. And then the orange and green plaid, there'll be 3 pieces of that, and they'll be all dovetailed. We're going to make a funky bow. So I'm going to pick up this ribbon, fold it in half. I'm going to go about 4 inches down and hold it in my hand. I'm going to hold it in my thumb. You see the loop is 4-inch loop. All of the loops are going to be the same size. So I'm going to keep my finger and my hand holding that there. My thumb and my hand is holding it. I use the other hand and my other fingers to do the work, to push these in here. Same thing, 4-inch loop. No, it's kind of hard to see. I do apologize. It's hard when you're focusing on work to stop and look at the camera and do all that. I'm sorry. And then I'm alternating the gold with the plaid, gold, plaid, gold, plaid. And then, so I have those 4 in my hand. And then I'm going to grab 1/3 of the plaid and add that to it. So we'll have 2 gold and 3 plaid. There's the 3rd one. Yours is going to look shorter than mine now because I cut mine way too long. So just 18 inches is all you need. I'm going to use a zip tie. The flat side is the side you push the end through. You see it's flat. I'm just holding it with my thumb and my hand. And then I'm going to cinch it. Not all the way tight. I need to leave a little room in there because we need to add a wire to it. I'm just going to make sure before it's tight also that these loops are about the same size. Here's a piece of wire, and this is actually what we cut off of the first project, and I'm just going to recycle it because you can do that. I'll push it between the ribbon and the zip tie and then pull it through, and then I can cinch that down all the way and use a cutter and just cut that off. Just going to kind of move those wires to the back a little bit. I'll go down on the stem, not through the original hole, twist it, trim it off a little bit, and then I'll tuck those pieces of wire back in. Now, if you're going to have that touch in the wall, definitely you need to cover that with a little piece of felt or something and some hot glue to make sure that it doesn't scratch up your wall or your door, wherever you want to put it. Now, see, my tails are way too long. That's why I said don't do that. So fluff out your bow loops first, okay? Then you're going to spread out the tails, and you can start trimming those at whatever length works best for you. If I leave them long, they're going to cover up the beautiful piece that we put down on the pumpkin, and I don't want that to happen. So you can easily go in here and trim the pieces up. You can, if you have wired ribbon, you can flip those pieces under so they look like additional loops, or you can flip those tails outwards so that they have, you know, you can actually see the dovetail section of it, or you can make it look like a big old round Christmas package bow if you want. But you can see how mine looks now, and it's not covering up the picture, thankfully. And we're going to add a couple of more things into this piece. So you could fold those under, or you can tuck them. And then, you know, if you work in little sections, you can just do a little bit at a time. Once you're satisfied with the bow, we're going to add some pretty things to the bow. So I switched up here to one that was already out of the package, and the color's just slightly different. No worries, pretty much the same thing. I'm going to use a brush handle. Now this brush handle is wider toward the brush than it is toward the end, and that's okay. We're going to make a little spiral, wrapping it around like that, and then we have this pretty little curl that we can tuck into the bow. It's a little bit too long, so I'm just going to trim it and cut it close to where the little next section of buds is, so that it looks like it looks like an actual piece of vine. Pretty little end instead of a long stem poked out. And then I'll just take a couple of sections and tuck them into this bow. Little in the middle, some on the outsides. You could just fill it up with colorful leaves. You could do some little fake acorns in there if you wanted to, some little sticks or branches. You could put sunflower in the middle of the bow. There, you just have a lot of options. Make it your own. I love these. I pulled these off of a wreath that I am going to recycle that I've used for many years, and I'm going to take it apart and use the pieces and donate some of them. I like that they're still green, but that they have the orange tips, like they're starting to turn, right? Like we're just transitioning into fall. Just to give it a little more length, because the stem is covered up now by the bow. And then you can add your hanger back to it in the back. You can just tie it on or loop it through those holes.
I'll start with a textured thrifted pumpkin. I'm going to take this Deco Art Worn Penny paint, my favorite paintbrush. We're going to need some floral foam and something to put our arrangement on. This will be our centerpiece. It needs to be cleaned first, so I'm going to give it a good wipe down and then take a fresh paper towel and dry every bit of it off. If it's not dry, the glue will not stick. So now we're going to work on this pumpkin. We're going to protect our surface here, shake that paint up really well because it almost separates like oil and water. Put some of it in the dish. I did not put enough in there, but it's better to use a little and add it than just to waste a bunch of paint. So I'm just going to load my brush up with paint and start putting it on the pumpkin. And I've just put it on fast forward so you can kind of see a little bit more of what I'm doing. So I'm laying the paint on from that brush. I'm running the brush back and forth because there's paint on both sides and all in the center of the bristles. This is very textured, so it takes quite a bit to get in all of the cracks and grooves. That's what you see me doing here. I always save the bottom for last, that way I don't have paint stuck on the bottom, stuck on the paper, and then every time I move my project, the paper comes up with it and makes just a big mess. So now we're working on the bottom. Same thing here, no need to waste paint in the center because you're not going to see that. Okay, this pumpkin is going to take 2 coats of paint. So I'm going to put it aside, put it in front of my fan, and dry it. While that is drying, we're going to put our foam in the dish. Now you can see there that it is sunken down and we need to raise it up. So I'm going to take another piece of this foam. This is just a piece of scrap foam that probably came from an Amazon box, to be honest. I'm just going to load that sucker down with some glue, and then I'm going to put some glue on the top as well. You want to make sure that this part doesn't move around because you're going to be tugging around on this, poking it, maneuvering it, shove it from side to side with your picks, your greenery and your floral, and you don't want it to come loose. Okay, so now we're going to start on the next project. This is our bicycle wheel that came from Dollar Tree. Right now it is black. We're going to take our metallic copper paint outside and give it a good coat. I only used 1 coat, but I really sprayed it down good. Here is 2 coats of that paint on the pumpkin. We're going to let that wheel dry while we work on our arrangement. Okay, if you want something quick and simple, here it is. Pitberry garland rolled up. There you go. But if you want to do it like me, pick some berries and stems and leaves that coordinate well with your copper pumpkin and with the decor you're already using in your home. And for me, it was these oak leaves, and these leaves actually came out of, I think it was a Big Lots wreath from many, many, many years ago. I've always loved the colors, and I've used them in so many different projects. And the good thing about this is they still have the little picks in there. Now, they aren't the strongest picks, so you will see them bend a little bit, just like that. But that is not a problem. I'm just going to keep working with it. If you don't like that and you get maybe some leaves that are bending on you, just get some of those florist picks. You can get the ones that are wooden, like a large toothpick on the bottom, and they have the wire on the top. And you can just wrap it around the part of the stem that you do have and make your own picks. And that will make it probably a little bit quicker and easier for you once you get to this part. Okay, so I'm going to start with putting 4 out. I'm going to put them kind of like the corners of a square. I'll put them on the bottom flat against the sides of that bowl so they're laying straight down. The next layer is going to be one in between each of those, more of like a 45-degree angle. So we're starting to come up a little bit. You don't want to put anything straight up because the center is where you're going to set your pumpkin. And you want to have space. I do check that several times while I'm doing my project to make sure that my pumpkin still has room to sit flat down on that disc, on the foam disc. These are thrifted branches that I found, and I don't know if they are berries or pomegranates. I'm not sure what they are, but they almost have like a copper, I don't know, almost a coppery color to them. And I like that. I think it's very rustic looking, very cottagey looking, so it fits for what I'm working with. You can also get branches and little pomegranate branches at Dollar Tree. You can use any type of thrifted branch that you like. These colors are matching with what I like. Use whatever colors you like. I know blue looks really nice with copper also. Browns look good. Burgundy, anything really looks good with copper. It's a metal, so you can pretty much do whatever your heart desires. Now with the picks that I use, it's so much on it. There's such good quality picks that you can really use every single bit. And you will also see me use the bottoms that you don't normally use in decorations with Dollar Tree picks. In other words, they look like a real piece of wood or a real branch. Once you cut the leaves and the berries off, they still look like a branch. And I do use that in this project. So you'll see me do that. If you get a better quality floral, you'll be able to use even more of it. So sometimes it's worth it just to pay a little bit more. Maybe get your items on clearance after the holidays and save them for the next year. Things like that. Use coupons where you can. I know certain stores like Joann's and Michael's will let you use coupons. So those are ways to save money to get some quality florals. Okay, so you can see this is filling out nicely, and my pumpkin still has a little place to rest right in the middle. I move my items around when I am decorating them. I turn them from side to side. I look above them. I look, like eyeball surface to check and make sure that I don't have gaps or problems or too much of one thing in one area. So that's what you see me doing now. Turn it around. If you have a turntable, set your item on the turntable or the little Lazy Susan and just turn it around. Then you can add in all little bits and picks. See, there's that stem. I'm going to add right here to the side. Here's another one. Put those wherever you want, wherever it looks like it feels right to you. It's nature, so nothing's perfect. And then, just like that. Do what feels right. Going to keep turning that around. I'm going to keep playing around with my greenery, adding in spots. You can see there on the bottom kind of right corner that it needs a little something extra, so I'm fluffing about a bit and may add another piece or two there. And this is how it is looking so far, so I'm happy so far. I'm going to take that bottom and use some hot glue. I don't want to destroy my pumpkin. It's not foam, it's more like a hollow resin type thing. I'm going to press that down and make sure that it doesn't go anywhere. And then just hold the top while I'm looking at it, so that the glue doesn't come apart and it doesn't fall over. You can see I'm holding that stem, and I like that stem the way it is. I didn't want to paint that. That was intentional. Okay, so now here is our copper bicycle wheel, all fixed up. I only did the front because no one's going to see the back. I'm trying to be stingy with my paints. Here's some more of those picks. These are some thrifted picks. They are maybe grapevine, I'm not sure, but they came off of another wreath that I picked apart as well. Love doing that. If you're at a thrift store and you just think to yourself, gosh, I really don't need another wreath, but I love the greenery, buy it anyway. It doesn't cost much. You can take it apart. You can use your greenery on another project, and you can use a wreath for something else. It's perfect. 2 for 1, right? Okay, so we're going to do zip ties instead of using wire this time. It saves me a little bit of time. I have an abundance of zip ties, so this is what I'm going to do. This is not going to be completely covered. It's going to be more like 3/4 in greenery, and then you're going to be able to still see part of the wheel, which I like. And you can see there's a little part there where it was still attached to the wreath that it was on, so I'm just going to cut that off and get it off of there. And now I'm going to choose the next little one. I chose the top one because it had berries in it. This little piece does not have any berries in it. I want to keep it balanced, so I am paying attention to that type of thing. So I'm just going to lay this over the wire from the other pick. And then I'm going to take this one, kind of curve the branches a little bit, make sure that's what I want, and I do like that one. So I'm going to zip tie that on. It's overlaying that branch that's underneath it as well. Okay, and when you turn it over, you can also add wire or some more of these zip ties anywhere along the way that you see, to keep it in the curve, to keep it a round, a more formed wreath. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, so now we're going to add it the other direction, and we're going to leave a gap in the middle because we're going to do something different there. So I'm just pushing that down. This one has some berries in it. I'm going to turn it and then secure the backside. This particular pick was a little bit larger than the ones I had on the other side, so it kind of stands on its own pretty well, but we're going to add another one to it. So now when it's hanging, this is how it is going to look. You can see that it's like 3/4 covered, and then that top, say 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, is going to be open. There'll be nothing there. Now I'm pulling those out. They are on wires, so I can pull them apart and fluff them up and make them look nice. Going to make them stand out a little bit more, like a pretty fluffy leaf pile. Now we're going to work on this section. We are going to make a funky bow. So I'm going to choose a variety of beautiful ribbon. This one came from Dollar Tree. This orange, like a burnt orange, it came from Dollar Tree. These coordinate nicely with these colors. This is a thrifted piece of ribbon. It's like a silk on wire. And then you'll see me adding some more on shortly. So what I'm doing is taking about 18 inches of the ribbon, and I'm going to fold it in half and start making me a pile down there. 18 inches of each one of those, laying them down. You can make it longer. You can do 2 feet. You can do, however big you want your bow to be. I'll show you what I mean in a moment. So I'm going to use a couple of different ones. I ran out of my plaid, so I had to actually just use one of those, but I'm going to fill in with something else. And then this is some more thrifted. I love this one. Thrifted wired ribbon. It's all wired, and that's very important for this type of a bow. So you're going to hold your bow up. You're going to go down about 4 inches. You want your tail to be longer than the bow. Okay, so you see what I'm doing here. I'm pinching it up. I'm going to hold it in the crook of my fingers between my first finger and my thumb. We're going to do the same thing. I'm measuring it against the bow that's right beside it, or the loop that's beside it, so we have the same measurement. You're going to do this, pinching it and then tightly holding it in the crook of your hand there. You can see all these loops will be the same size. You're going to grab your pieces up like this. You're going to pinch them into your hand. I'm just measuring. You can see what's going on here. All the tails are hanging below. Going to go on to my next color, and you're going to add all your pieces in this exact same way. Kind of separate the ones that are similar. You know, you want to space them out a little bit. You're going to have more freedom to move it around in a bit, but when you're initially doing it, kind of space them away from each other. So here you go. You almost have a little balloon bouquet in your hand. And then I'm going to cinch my bow. Now, I'm not going to do this completely tight until I check and check again to make sure that these are the same height. What I've done is just cinched them up enough to hold them together while I move them around. See, I'm pulling all the tails out and apart, like an octopus. The loops on the top are the octopus head, and all of these are the legs that are spreading out underneath it. Sometimes the ribbon that you get at Dollar Tree is not very sturdy and it won't hold. You have to really fuss with it. But some of it's really good. Like this orange and this burlap, this stuff is some great ribbon. I have used it for years and it has never let me down. See here how I did that? There you go. Or you can just bend it with your fingers. Just walk down it with your fingers and curl it under. I'm going to take a piece of thin floral wire. It needs to be sturdy enough that it won't, that you can feed it through the ribbon, and you're going to just feed it through a couple of the ones that you can reach in the center there. So I'm just going in a circular motion, going through the ribbons on the bottom. You can see there. Then I'm going to pull them up so that I have the little, see there, little hanger holders. I'm going to give it an initial twist or two. Then I'm going to flip it over and just wrap it around the wire on the back of the wreath. Now you may think, okay, you just turned that upside down and squished it and now you got to refluff it. Well, yeah, you do. You do have to refluff it. But I want you to know, in crafting, one of my favorite things to do is fluff a bow. It's not for everybody, but I love it. I love seeing a transformation. Look at that bow. That bow is the perfect bow for this arrangement. But I'm missing the fact that my plaid ribbon there is just, we're going to fix that. We're going to add some more plaid. So I'm going to take a curtain hanger, or this may be a shower curtain hook, who knows. I'm going to take the hanger part off, take my copper paint, and I'm going to spray paint this ring copper. While it's drying, I'm adding some more of that plaid ribbon. I had a tiny bit left. It wasn't long enough to put it in the initial bow, but it's enough to add some more tails. So I'm going to dovetail it, fold it in half into a V, and I'm going to place it right there. And I'm going to leave the tails a little bit longer than the rest of it because I really, really love that ribbon. Okay, see there? Isn't that pretty? Okay, so here's some faux leather ribbon. It is a brownish color. It's the only one I've been able to find at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to add it to this ring to make a hanger. I've seen these on items at craft stores, and I thought, I could definitely do that myself and show you guys how to do it so that we get a more high-end look without paying $50, $60 for it. Definitely. I could definitely see this hanging in Kirkland's or, someplace like that, an at-home store. So you're just going to feed this through the top, pinch it down. You can protect your fingers. You always should. I just didn't because this is really thick and I didn't need to for this. I didn't feel. I'm going to add some here too to secure my ring. See, they're saving the paint. It was still silver on the back. And there we go. Look at that. All right, I want to add right here just a little pumpkin. I felt like it needed a little more of a reminder of fall coming up. I'm going to put that partly on the ribbon and partly on the frame and on the leaves that are underneath it and press it down. So I'm going to use a thrifted milk can. I'm going to use some of this oatmeal chalk paint and a paintbrush. And I'm going to use some Mod Podge. Plus these clings that I have been using in other projects, they have come in so handy. I'm going to be using these again. Okay, so to start off, we're going to need to paint the milk can. It's not very good practice to just dip into the container like this. I intended to pour it into the little plastic cup, but I just didn't do it. I got in such a rush. Sometimes when the ideas get flowing, you know, you go with the flow. So I'm just going to do below this line here where it curves down. I'm just going to go all the way down onto the bottom, and I'm going to complete it like this. And then I'll do one more coat of it, set it aside, and let it dry. Once it's dry, we're going to choose what cling we want to use and where it's going to go on this can. So I think this one is going to work. However, it's a little bit large. It goes over my trim on the top and on the bottom there where it is a little edging on the can. I also need to remove the lines from the little shiplap backing that is on here. So you can see the little lines there, and I'm going to take those off just by trimming them off. I'm going to leave some of the areas that look shaded. I'm just going to leave those on there, but I do want these lines off. So I'll just trim around on those spots. We want it to look good. Okay, so now all those lines are gone, but you can see that the shaded little areas are still on there. So I want to choose which side of the can I'm using, and it's going to be this side because the other side had a little dent. Look, here's a tip when you're using something round. These little clamps that came from Dollar Tree have silicone or rubbery tips. You can press those under on each side and it will hold it still. How about that? We're going to take a brush and our Mod Podge and put a good layer on there. Going to try to rub it in pretty good, you know. We don't want to leave too many really nasty sticky areas, but I want to put enough on there where that cling is going to stay. So I'm just kind of holding it in place and then pressing it outward from the inside outward to get the little bubbles and air bubbles a chance to run from me. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I'm going to go ahead and go around, add some more, and go over the top of the pumpkin too, because we want it to all be in this matte finish to make it look like it was painted on the can rather than stuck on the can later. It makes a difference between your projects whether or not they look high end. We want it to look like it belongs on here. So overlapping a little bit. Now I'm going to choose my leaves. I'm going to put another one of those on this side. Same process, holding it down, holding it in place so it doesn't slip around. Then you go ahead and put some more of it all the way across the top. Because this is matte and those clings are shiny, this will look matte and the paint underneath will look matte. It will all have the exact same finish. Just going to add some more of those leaves on the back. So is this a maple leaf? Do you think this is a maple leaf? You can use any clings that you have. These came from Walmart last year. Okay, so after we've got one coat on, this is what it looks like, but you can still see that it's reflective, so it's still kind of shiny. So I'll go ahead and put a second layer and let it dry, and then this is how it looks. Much, much better. All right, we're going to take some of this, they call it eucalyptus. You can call it boxwood, you can call it whatever you would like. But I like it because it is green and kind of orangey, so it looks nice to me. We're going to take these off, and then this is a thrifted flower, and it is beautiful. I got a bunch of these and some other ones that are just gorgeous. The color is so gorgeous. It's kind of muted and faded and looks like it's at the end of the season, so it's just perfect. Now I'm going to show you this view, and I'm going to arrange this from the top. I got a comment before that somebody said it wasn't helpful to do it this way. You can learn something from it from this way. You see exactly what I'm doing from the top. This is how I arrange it from above. So I want you to see what I see. Take that pick, flare it out, put it right in the bottom of the can. I think that's quite clear. And then we're going to do the same thing with this pick. Spread it out, put it straight into the can. Move it around a little bit because we want to make some space for the flower, which, bam, plop it down right in the middle. There you go. So that's simple. this is what it looks like so far. At some point, I may get a second camera so that I can do more angles and different angles, but for now, I'm doing the best that I can, and I hope that that is good for y'all and that it's okay for y'all, that you can still follow my instruction and you can see what I'm doing. Because this channel should be about you, and I want it to be for you to learn. I want to share with you, so I want to do what's best for you. Now all I'm doing is adding some extra leaves. These I believe came originally from Hobby Lobby, and I'm just tucking those in there. Just here and there, wherever I feel like they need to be, but you can see what I'm doing. Seem pretty clear? We didn't use foam or anything, and it's only one flower, so it's a rather simple arrangement. And I think it's gorgeous. This one will not be taken apart or sold. This one will remain in my house because I am going to be using this little beauty. I love it. Now we're going to do a cottage basket wreath. I'm going to use a thrifted basket. I'm going to use a combination of thrifted and some recycled and some Dollar Tree greenery for this project. Plus I'm going to use this napkin, and it's just a plaid fall colored napkin that I got from the thrift store as well. This beautiful fuzzy sunflower that probably came from Michael's originally. And these really pretty grasses. Okay, so I want to make a little pocket down here. The pocket is actually not going to hold the weight of anything. It's just going to appear as though it's holding the weight. See what I'm saying? So this is what we're going to do. We're going to fold that square into a triangle and then start putting a little glue down there so that it stays together when we start gluing it on the basket. We're going to lay it down, make sure that it goes down past the edges. I'm going to use my clamps, the ones that we had before, that I showed you before, to get placement on the sides so that when we flip it over, I'll know where I want it glued. I'm going to use my glue gun, still on my cool temperature, but you can use hot, whatever you want to use, and start placing that down. You don't want to pull too tight because you don't want to distort the shape of your basket. Now this is not a flat basket. It actually has a little bit of depth, probably about 3 inches of depth. It just looks flat, if that makes any sense. You'll see when you start putting the flowers in and I flip it over, you'll see what I mean. Now however you have to do this, do it. As long as it's glued down, if you want to cut off your edges, you can certainly cut them off, or you can leave it in place like this so when you take it off, you can use it for another project. That's what I intend to do, so that's why I'm doing it this way. I'll still have pieces of fabric that I can use. Just kind of making some gathers where it will lay flat once, when I get ready to hang it on the wall. I don't want anything to be in the way, so I'm just kind of neatly putting some gathers in there so it'll stay in place. Probably did not need to show you all that, but you get the point. So now we have a pocket. We're going to start putting in our grasses first. Grass first because it's in the back. It's the tallest one, so that's what I want to go in the back. It's not secured down yet. We're going to take some floral wire and wire it to the basket, or zip ties, or you can use pipe cleaners. Zip ties is what I'm using. You can get a big package of these at Dollar Tree in a variety of colors. I have black and I have white. So this weave is kind of an open weave, so I can actually place this down and secure it to the back quite nicely. I'll get everything secured, and at the end of the project I'll go back and clip off all of the extra. Now what I'm doing is kind of digging down to the bottom layers so that you don't see these on the top, and just going over the bottom layers, the bottom bulk of it, and then securing them on the back. Leave a little bit of slack in there for adding more flowers to it, just a little. You can always tighten it up later when you need to. You're almost making a form to attach other things to. You want it to be sturdy. Okay, so here we go, adding this big beautiful single sunflower. I'm just pushing that down in there, right behind where that one piece of grass is. You can see the bottom of the stem's behind the grass. Then I'm just going to loop one of those ties across the bottom of that stem, And then in the back, I'm gonna tighten it up so that it doesn't fall out. I have it intentionally slanted to the side. Everything doesn't have to grow straight up. It doesn't have to be arranged straight up. Now, if you happen to have a pick that is large, but you don't have a whole bunch of individual picks, just cut it apart. Simple enough. If it's scissors, if it's plastic, you can use scissors. If it has wire in it, just use your wire cutters and trim it off. And then we're going to start adding these pieces in here or there. This is my Rustic cottage core basket wreath that I adore. I love it. You can see here I'm trying to wiggle it down a little bit so that it gets into one of those other zip ties and then pull it down. It's not going to go anywhere. This piece will not be outside. This is not an outdoor wreath. We have a lot of humidity here where I live, and I have a feeling it would be mildewed or moldy. My white fabric would be turned all shades of yuck. So this is going to be in the house. I have varying heights, and I have them in various places all over. And because we have those pieces of grass secured in there, now we can just place our other things around where the grasses are attached, and everything should stay in place. Next, we're going to move on to these beautiful little flowers that I think I got at Dollar Tree. If I didn't, you can definitely get some that are similar to this at Dollar Tree because I've seen them there before. You can see my little bullnose pliers or side cutters, whatever you want to call those. That's what I use to cut everything. They're really strong and good and durable. So I'm going to start adding in these now. These are in little clusters, and I think they're just gorgeous. They're very wild looking to me. They look like something I would see growing on the side of the road. I just love it. Again, think about that. Think about nature as your inspiration. You know, if you're walking down the road in the country, what do you see? What's growing in the ditch line next to you? What do you see that's just makes you stop and look at it? You know, makes you stop and pick a flower. Those are the things that bring us comfort that we really love, and those are the things that we need to surround ourselves with. Those are the things that bring us true joy. So that's what I try to do with my decor. And I want beautiful things in my home. I don't want to spend a lot of money. I know I don't have to spend a lot of money. And I want you to learn that you can do the same thing. Okay, now for these little berry picks. I'm just going to add those here and there. No rhyme or reason, just like with the flowers, really no rhyme or reason. We're doing it like Mother Nature. We're doing it like God intended, just here and there, wherever it can find the sun, that's where we're putting it. Nice. Now, I know y'all have Dollar Tree bags. Y'all can use these for stuffing. Recycle, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just kind of rolling these up, folding them, flattening them out, and pressing these down to form the bottom. Then I'm going to take some of this Excelsior grass and stuff this all on the top. You can also use those hula skirts from the summertime from Dollar Tree. They'll work good here too. So they're just crumpled up and they just look like straw and weeds that are starting to die back. I think it's perfect for this. You can use moss if you want, but I really like the color of this with the rest of it. I think it's so pretty. Now we need one more thing in here. We need some vegetation. We need some gourd or pumpkin in here. So I'm just trying it out with a little pumpkin, which would go great. You could just put a dowel in it and poke it in there. Or my gourd that I got from the thrift store already had a pick in it. So there we go. I'm just going to stick that down in there, and I like it. I think it looks good. What do you think? Then I'm just going to use a piece of jute cord on the back, right in the center, to make a little loop knot so that we can hang it up. So thank you for stopping by, and I'm going to see you again real soon. Bye.